can see them now. It's like they spell your name. It's insane. Now we're back here once again. Holidays and cheer. But now I got my eye set on you. I'm not gonna play it safe. It's going down on Christmas Day. 'Cause I've been trying to tell you in every way. Yeah, I've been trying to show you, but somehow felt I wanna have someone to hold. Walking through the falling snow. I've been trying to tell you in every way, but now I'll get it done. I'm not gonna wait and right around the mistletoe. I'm gonna let my feelings show. Always got you on my mind, but I know this time you're on top of my list. Only wish. And as we decorate the tree, only you and me, I'll be making plans, make you understand. I'm not gonna play it safe. It's going down on Christmas Day. 'Cause I've been trying to tell you in every way. Yeah, I've been trying to show you, but somehow felt I wanna have someone to hold. Walking through the falling snow. I've been trying to tell you in every way, but now I'll get it done. I'm not gonna wait and right around the mistletoe. I'm gonna let my feelings show. I've been waiting for so long for you, but now I got it planned. I know.
Welcome to the HNL Tonight Show with the hockey coach, your coach Frenchy, directly for the beautiful country of Thailand. The house is full. We got everyone back in the house tonight. Marco Larabi from Ottawa, from Alberta, Mr. Randy Walkman, and from Toronto, the co-host back with us, Mr. Enartap from Toronto. Welcome back, all three. Thanks to join us for the great Tuesday night, December 27. Is it Tuesday, Marco, or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
This is by far the most confusing time of the year. That weird time between Christmas and New Year's. Thanks for reminding me. I had no idea what day it is. So Tuesday? Okay, let's go with that.
Tuesday, there we go. That's the way to do that. December 27, 2022. Of course, the NHL is back with the 11 game. One game was canceled because of the weather in Buffalo. We wish the best, everybody. Be safe in Buffalo. We think about Jose Duarte, our moderator, if I live in Buffalo area. So hope everything is fine. But tonight on the show, we're going to talk about let's review year 2022 from January to December. So it's not including last season, before that, or what happening. It's just only the calendar of 12 months. We'll talk about something, the milestone or the best performance and everything like that. Stanley Cup, All-Star Game, NHL Draft, the carousel of goalies, coaches, and so much more. And of course, the chat, we're going to bring some kind of other things to talk about, and each one of you going to give us some comments about this. So we expect a lot of great night. And tonight we have the Frenchy quiz, holidays continues tonight. The night we're going to talk about on the Jeopardy. We have fourth friend subject, the NHL record, the app record, the league record, and the WHA. So I can
Oh
wait
boy.
to see people going to talk about those subject we have for you. So really a busy night here at the HNL Tonight Show. So first of all, maybe do a turn around table. Each one of you maybe talk about the holidays and maybe what's happening, and then what you're looking for. So maybe sharing a little bit your point of view. So let's start in with Mr. Marco.
Yeah, thanks, Coach. Well, hey, happy Christmas or happy weird time of the year to everyone. For us, it was oh wow, okay, there you go. For us, it was a weird Christmas. Like, my wife had COVID, so she was testing negative the last couple days, but we decided to stay low and not infect our families potentially. So, kind of a quiet Christmas this year, but it was nice to just spend time with my wife. We had a good time and just chilled. So it's good. Definitely missing the NHL action here though. So watching a lot of hockey. With the World Junior Championship last couple of days. Some lopsided games. Like I always feel it's a little bit harder to get into the games in the first couple games because some of them are kind of lopsided. But we saw some good games, some close, some good upsets so far. So, and also the Spengler Cup. A little bit of a disappointing showing by Canada. Weird watching David DeArnay still play hockey. So that was interesting. But yeah, so still lots of good hockey over the holidays. So happy to be back though with Hockey Nation Live.
Awesome. Let's go with Mr. Inartap.
Well, I just want to wish, as before, hopefully everybody had a great Christmas time. It's always special. We don't take enough time sometimes to be with family and sort of reflect a little bit about what the important things in life are. So it's always a time for us to slow down from our hectic daily grind and reflect on these kind of things, and also to anticipate for better things in the upcoming year. So I want to wish everybody a pre-Happy New Year.
Awesome. And then we have to go all the way to Alberta. Maybe he's frozen over there on the chair. Who knows? But he's moving. It's fine. He's good. Randy.
I'm definitely doing something. Christmas was wonderful. We spent some good time with our families. I wish everybody a happy New Year. I wish everybody a complete safe. Just the Calgary Flame fans, they had a miracle. I don't know whether you guys knew it, but our assistant general manager was on life support.
Oh, yeah.
Wasn't given much time. He wasn't given much time to live, and he's a miracle. He's home. Up and talking, back home and everything.
Chris.
And for your information, Coach.
Chris
Mr. Snow, he was unbelievable story.
MLS.
I was in tears when I saw him come up. I was in tears. It was a pretty awesome story. For your information, Toronto scored, by the way. They're up 3-1 now, Coach.
3-1.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I know. And anyway, at the end of the day, I said here, we go to jail because they're not that. We win the boss because of me.
Yes.
But we'll be interested in how we're going to turn around. We have a few people knock the door. So welcome back, everybody. First of all, we're going to welcome RJ Calabro with all the update we have. Welcome back, RJ. And our friend William McClary always bring us some great comments in the chat. Mr. William McClary, thanks to be with us. What about the moderator Luciano Graziano? He's back with the house in the house. And our friend neighbor directly from Alberta, beside Randy, Mr. Andy Kuiwula. Welcome back.
I don't wish him any good luck, by the way, Coach.
He's maybe not freezing, but I'm sure he's in the dark. Mr. Dan Asham is in the house. Welcome back.
Hey, Dan.
I bet he's freezing. Welcome back, Dan.
Are you already thinking Marco is already left to pick up the dog out to pee and then coming back to it? What's going on? It's early, dog.
It is a bit early, yeah.
We have Luc
Oh boy.
Lafortune, l'ange gardien. He stopped to snowfell all the snow outside the house. Welcome back, Mr. Luc Lafortune. And then we have a
Salute,
couple of
Luke.
people in the house. Welcome, everybody. And we'll see what happening. The game, a lot of game action now. The game start already in Edmonton and Arizona for the Coyotes and the Flame. And a couple of updates everywhere. 3-1 Toronto, 2-1 Minnesota over the Jet, 2-1 the Stars just come back. The Islanders destroyed Pittsburgh 4-1. And then the Capitals beat the Rangers 3-0. Hurricane 3-0. And the Senators surprised the Bruins right now 2-1 at home. So you get all the update. We're going to give you all the different thing happening with RG at some point, but I just want to give you a little bit more. 2 game a little bit later, 10 o'clock, Canucks, Vancouver holds the Sharks, and the Kings holds the Golden Knight at 10:30, and the game Blue Jacket is canceled. So that's happening at the first night back during the holidays. Montreal play tomorrow night again, the Tampa Bay Lightning. They call up Justin Barron from the the Laval Rocket. So be interesting. He's going to play on that tomorrow. Gallagher is on the practice today, but he wear a jersey, different color because cannot be contact at that moment. Chicago Bear is in the house. Welcome back, Mr. Chicago Bear. And don't forget everybody to click on the likes if you don't mind. That'd be great. And let's talking about let's review calendar 2022. And we're going to start, guys, about the different trade happenings during the season. So I'm going to give you, a trade. You can give us a bit what you think about this. The trade shadow and the Toronto at the trade deadline. Mike Giordano from the rental player to the hometown discount. Maybe give us a bit. I'm going to go quick, about 31 minutes each one of you, talking about the impact of the player and for the team since they joined the team. So let's start in with Mr. Natap. You live in Toronto.
Yeah, I thought it was a fantastic signing for the Leafs in the offseason. Unfortunately, last year in the playoffs, they didn't get an opportunity to go very far, so we didn't see him. We didn't see him beyond that first series. But we're starting to see the leadership value of this guy. This guy logs a lot of minutes. He's always captain material, even though he's not the captain of the Leafs. But I thought for the price that they got him, what a steal.
Yeah.
And Marco?
Well, especially with the injuries that the Leafs have had on defense, I think it's hard to argue against the fact that that's probably the best value signing in the NHL if you exclude like entry-level contracts and players like that. So, really, really nice fit for them, especially imagine if they didn't have him with all the injuries that they've had so far, right? So I unfortunately there are no pictures of him in his Leafs pajamas when he was a kid, like John Tavares, but I'm assuming they exist because he took a pretty big discount to play in Toronto. So amazing for them.
Randy?
Still, I've known Mark for years, of course. I knew him when he was in Calgary. He was our best defenseman for years, our best leader for years. It's really too bad that we lost him, but we didn't really have much choice. Probably the biggest steal of the year of Toronto. Without him, I don't know where Toronto would be. We still make way too many mistakes, but it's not because of him.
Well, we know where Randy's allegiance is. He keeps saying we. You live in Alberta, man. You have to be careful. You can't say we when you're talking about the Leafs.
I'm sorry. I'm as much of a Maple Leaf fan as I am a Leaf fan because I'm so old. When I was growing up, there was only 3 hockey teams in the NHL, and
3. Wow.
So I'm so old. I was alive before the original 6.
The big expansion. The big expansion to 6 teams. Yeah.
That's right.
That's very controversial at the time, right? We're going to dilute all the talent with 6 teams.
It's interesting that you tease me about being from Alberta and being a Toronto fan. What the heck is whatever his name is? They're living in Toronto and being a Habs fan. Tell me how that makes sense.
Oh boy!
But he's a steal.
Alberta's a totally different thing, though. You're not allowed to support anything from out east if you live in Alberta, right?
Well said, Marco.
Marco.
Great comment
Coach
for Andy.
Helmy.
Great comment for Andy. The journalist coming influence for the leave. Dave, defenseman, great seeing about that. We welcome Logan G. Ask if Boston's coming back. They are very good period. The third period, Logan, I think they will come back for sure about that one over there. We thank everybody. Is this step up? And the next one, we talk about the trade between Chicago, Ottawa, Senator. The Alex de Brincat for, the first round pick, second round pick, third round pick, blah, blah, blah. And plus, I think the fact they bring out Coder, do you think they bring Claude Giroux with the team for Ottawa Senator? We know the Ottawa Senator, they have the same impact they thought they're going to get when they have both players with the team. But what your expectation about that trade for the Chicago Blackhawks? They trade him. And
you want to go first?
Yeah, we'll go in after Marco and Brandy, like do it all the time, so it'll be easier for everybody.
Okay. Well, what can you say? You know the situation Chicago was in. You knew that they were going to go full rebuild. I'm a bit surprised in two particular deals that they made, namely the Brincat and Doc, because we're not talking about old players here. They're upcoming stars, I think, in the league, and so they could have found a way for those guys to work still within the confines of what they were trying to do. So, it's surprising. I thought Giroux, originally with Florida, it helped Florida a little bit, but then in the playoffs, he was about the only one that was really producing. I think going to Ottawa was something that he wanted to do, and if you look at, he quietly puts up the points every single night. This guy, he was a leader in Philadelphia, and he's a leader wherever he goes. I think it's good to have him because the team is very, very young in Ottawa, and they need the kind of guidance that he's got to offer and the pedigree that he has.
Wow, the Blues come back to go 3-3.
Samsonov. Told you Samsonov's not on his game tonight. He's kind of swimming.
No, Samsonov is not on this game tonight.
Yeah.
That third goal is really bad.
Yeah. In terms of
now
Chicago,
I'm 2-7. Thanks a lot. And now I'm going to be 2-9 tonight. Thanks a lot. And I blame you for that.
Everybody blames me.
Yeah. So for Chicago, all I can say is that I really hope they don't win the lottery because I don't think it's good for the NHL what they did. It's the least subtle tear down for a tank that you can ever find, really. There's not really any logical rationale that you can think of for them to trade away two young core players, unless they really knew something that we didn't about their character or something. But I don't see that to be the case. It's just a blatant tear down for a tank. Yep. And so in the spirit of of fairness, I really hope they don't win the lottery. So in terms of the outcomes for both those teams, obviously we've seen kind of what Doc is. So and I think we're happy with what we're seeing so far. Question with DeBrincat, though, he's coming on a little bit lately, but if you're Ottawa, because he is an RFA, right? Or he's an RFA or UFA at the end?
RFA.
Yeah. So, So what do you do there? Do you sign? Are you willing, based on what you saw so far this year, are you willing to go
100%.
8 years at, okay, well, he's a little bit one-dimensional. I don't know. It's definitely a conversation to have because, again, you have some other key young players coming up here. So interesting dilemma for Ottawa. This might be a bit of a hot take around Giroux. I think he's a good player, but he's never won anything. He's never really helped his teams win. He did have a final with Philly, but pretty underwhelming kind of playoff career. He's a local guy, so hopefully not too many of my Ottawa friends start throwing digital rocks at me here from where is he from there? Hearst, Ontario, which isn't too far from Ottawa. But listen, like,
That's right, close.
there's no question Giroux can be a difference maker, but you know, we'll see how that plays out for Ottawa. We can see so far, you know, you can't really blame Giroux. I think he's honestly been their most consistent player. But you know, questionable to see. You know, these moves haven't really worked out the way that Ottawa felt. Yeah, so definitely rooting against Chicago here to not win the lottery. That's my takeaway from this whole debacle.
Brandy?
The question about DeBrincat, what can you say? I mean, he's an all-star player. I would have done the trade if I was Ottawa, but I just don't know. I'm with you in a way, Marco, about him re-upping him. I suspect they're going to have to because of what they invested to get him.
Yeah, we
gave up a first and a second. Right? Yeah, they can't very well.
You can
give him up after they did a first and second. Giroux, I love Giroux. I absolutely love Giroux. I don't know whether he's worth my wondering, and maybe you three can help me with this. Is he worth the $6 million that Ottawa signed him for?
How many years is he on? 4 years? 4 years?
I think it was 4 years, wasn't it?
3 years.
3 years. I mean,
that's all right. Yeah, on paper, it makes sense, right? Like,
that's the only question I've got about him.
It makes 100% sense.
Yeah, that's the only question I've got. But to me, I don't question Ottawa's moves. The only thing I question is why hasn't it worked? It's troubling. Do you have to wonder about the coaching by now, Marco, and stuff for Ottawa's coaching? Do you have to ask yourself for that? Why they're so bad? Because I wasn't predicting as bad.
There's a number of reasons, I think, not the least of which this whole debacle with the selling of the team. I think that no matter how much you want to admit it or not admit it, will disturb everybody that's involved. Number one. Number two, I think you put a lot of good players together in 1 year, and that sometimes it takes time for the chemistry to properly develop between players and line mates. And number three, I would say the injuries. So some of the players on Ottawa are not playing on the right seating, right? I think once you have Norris back, Stutzel's been out for a while. It's going to make a world of difference if they can improve their defense a little bit, and they will be a team to contend with for sure.
I think one more thing. One thing they said in the chat, I think, is important. Like, they're looking to sell the team, so maybe some point they say, maybe pack a little bit more the players. Maybe some advice from someone somehow to say, if we can get 2-3 more players, bring the value of the team a little bit better. I think that's
and that worked. The value of the team has increased tremendously after they locked up all their young players, their young core. There's no question.
Oh yes, that's
like, I think
absolutely.
I think the value of the team went up. I think like 7 or 8 ranks compared to last year. So there's no question from a team value perspective, locking up not really DeBrincat, but locking up like Stützle and Norris and Batherson and all that young core. That was a very smart move because, again, with the history of the Senators and Melnyk, they were not really renowned for keeping their talent, so it does up the value. But to me, the coaching, the question I have is, did DJ Smith see Dorian bury a body somewhere, and he has that, like, he's blackmailing him or something?
I don't know.
Because I just don't understand.
I wonder. I wonder.
He's got some compromise.
You know what,
in
Marco?
Russia they call that compromise.
I think more than anything, it just has to do with the optics. If they fire him at this stage, it just doesn't look good, especially a team that's trying to, or a group that's trying to sell the team. You're gonna have to.
It's the opposite.
How long is he contracted for?
Who?
I'm not sure.
2 more years.
DJ
Smith. I think he's got 2 years, right? If I'm not mistaken.
2 years, I think.
Left on his.
I don't have
3 more years.
I see it the other way. Like, to me, you know, because this is a pattern with the Senators where they don't perform in the first half of the year. To me, the ultimate signal that you're serious about contending is that you're not going to accept the same thing that's happened 2 years in a row. So to me, by not firing DJ Smith, it's almost like accepting those results. So to me, it's the opposite signal to the players and to the marketplace that, you know, guys, okay, so here are some signals that we're sending to the universe here that we're serious about contending. We've locked up all of our core players. 1, 2, we are not accepting the same performance as before. So to me, I just don't get it. I think Kevin Francis is, you know, was here at the beginning of the year on the show, who's a big, you know, insider or really knowledgeable about the Senators, and his hair was on fire too, right? Like right at the beginning of the season about what DJ Smith was still there. So I'll stick with, I think I'll take Kevin's lead on that one for sure.
I agree. At the same time, and then one more point before Coach goes on. When do the players start getting blamed for this?
Yeah.
I mean, these players have messed up for 3 straight years in a row, Marco. When do they start getting blamed?
They're young core. They're a young core, right? Like, so again, like on paper,
that's true too.
It made sense, right? You bring in Giroux as like, you know, that veteran presence that's never won anything, but okay, you bring him in as a veteran presence, you know, to kind of, and apparently he is somebody that keeps his teammates very accountable. So that's good. You know, Brady Tkachuk seems like a really strong leader. Seems that he's certainly saying the right things. He plays the right way on the ice. So I don't know, like it seems like the pieces are there. That there's a decent amount of grit on that team. They play hard, like, you know, like that third line they have with Gambrell and you know, those guys like, you know, what's his name there, like the big thug that they have, Watson. You know, they can play the body, and so it seems like they could add another piece on defense, but I don't know. There's something just not right with that chemistry of what's going on. I think it's seriously.
I think, Marco, they seriously have to reduce Chabot's time on the ice. I mean, defensively, he's a bit of a liability, you know, for whatever you get on offense. And I think it's mostly fatigue. Like, I don't think he should be playing the kind of minutes that he should. So that's why I agree that if you bring in 1 or 2 solid defensemen into the equation, that'll make a huge difference.
All right. Let's move on to the next one. If not, we're going to stay here a long time. Toronto take the lead 4-3. And then the Coyotes beat now Colorado 2-1. And the Predator tied 2-2. About that one there. I want to be sure I'm right there. The next trade, we'll talk about the New Jersey trade to Pittsburgh. John Marino for Ty Smith. What do you think about that trade? And I think that's a huge impact for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Huge.
Indeed.
I
thought it was. I thought it was a great pickup for them. The only problem is if you look at all the additions and subtraction, I don't know if Pittsburgh's defense necessarily got any stronger. Yes, they picked up Marino, but in the process, they picked up Petrie as well, and they lost Matheson.
Well, sorry, Marino went to New Jersey, right? Marino went to New Jersey.
Right, for Smith, right?
Yeah.
For Smith.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah. And so I look at Pittsburgh's situation, and I'm not so convinced that their defense got any stronger because of it. If anything, you know, if Letang ever goes down like he did for a while because of his heart condition, the team's going to suffer for it. From New Jersey's perspective, yes, absolutely helped to have him. I think Marino gives a lot of. He's a very stay-at-home kind of guy, but he can also rush with the puck if he has to. He's got good wheels, and can contribute offensively.
Marco?
I'm not sure what Burke and Hextall saw in last year's playoff run from their D core that they didn't like. Okay, so they lost in the first round against the Rangers in 7 games. You know, it was kind of a strange series. You know, like they were down to their third string goalie. Refresh my memory. Who's that French Canadian guy? C'était qui dans le net là pour Pittsburgh coach?
Oh, DeSmith or DeSmith?
No. They went to their what's it?
Smith.
C'était qui dans le net là pour Pittsburgh? Non. Des nets là pour Pittsburgh l'année passée dans les playoffs quand DeSmith puis Jarry sont blessés là. C'était qui?
He was an ex-Calgary Flame. Came from the Flames
Anyways.
too. He played in Calgary too.
Yeah, he's a third string goalie, right? So
He's
very strange playoff for.
He's Tampa Bay's third goalie this year. I can't remember his name.
Yeah. He's a bit of a journeyman. I can't remember his name, but
It's Louis Domingue.
Louis Domingue. Yes, thank you.
Domingue.
That's it. Thank you.
Yeah, Louis Domingue. Yeah. So I don't understand what they saw. So obviously they felt like they needed to completely remodel their back end with moving Matheson and moving Marino. I'm just not sure why. Like that really wasn't their downfall this year or in the playoffs in 2022. So obviously, hey, they're Hextall and Burke are smart hockey guys. Smith is a good prospect. Like he hasn't maybe reached his potential yet, but he has a good ceiling. We'll see kind of how this plays out in the long run. But definitely a puzzling move by Pittsburgh. Wondering why they felt they needed to remodel their defense after what seemed to be a pretty solid run last year. I like that they added Raquel and they kept Raquel. They managed to kind of like bring the band back together, bring Malkin back, and bring Letang. So kind of a mixed bag of moves from Pittsburgh in the summer. And so far it's like they're on a good run, and I think they'll still be a competitive team, but maybe unnecessary tinkering. I guess they're nervous though, right? Because they know that their window is closing. So we'll see if it works out for them.
Well, it made me want. It was mind-boggling to me. It was really puzzling because I was specifically told it looks like they're trying for one more run, and then they do a trade like that for rebound. It was conflicting to what they were telling people that they were trying to do one more run, and that's what I found the most.
By bringing in Petrie, you're not really rebuilding because he's older than Marino.
No.
Right,
and that's what
Smith,
I found confusing. Exactly. Why trade Marino and bring in Petrie? Why not keep Marino? If you're going to do another run, why trade one of your cogs? I find it very confusing.
Well, I think there was a quote this year where there's the coach. I think it was somebody from the Pens organization was calling Petrie an elite athlete, right? So. And he is, he has that blood, his dad was like a pitcher for the Detroit Tigers, and so listen, he's an amazing athlete, Jeff Petrie, right? But we all know what he is and what when he's on and when he's not. But again, just curious, based on what you saw in the playoffs last year, your two first goalies go down and you lose in 7 games against the Rangers, who end up going to the conference final against a very strong goalie in Shesterkin. Why do you feel like you needed to reinvent the wheel with your back end? I just don't know.
I'm there with you. I exactly feel the same way. It was really confusing to me, that deal.
All right, let's move on to the next one. The New York Islanders trade with Montreal Canadiens, the 3rd overall pick for Kirby Doc. It was for the Chicago, but Doc with Romanov on that trade over there. So give us a bit the perspective overall that could put Chicago there too, but tell us a bit more what you think.
I think for Montreal, Doc was a great addition. It gave him a centerman, which although he's been played both at center and on the wing, which is against my better judgment personally, but this guy still has a high ceiling, and we're slowly starting to see that he does have quite a few tools in the toolbox, and he's slowly starting to develop. I think we don't give him enough credit because he had a fairly serious injury that kept him out of the lineup most of the year in Chicago with I think it was his wrist, if I'm not mistaken. And it takes a while to develop. I think if he's playing with the right line mates, this guy, he's got the size, he's got the skill. I think it'll service Montreal well going forward.
I can see Nick in the chat here is very nervous about what I'm going to say about what I say about Chicago for this trade. So I'll try to frame this positively for Nick. So
too late.
I think the real question, I think the real question with this trade, because again, we remember it's a three-way trade, right? So Montreal trades Romanov. Yeah. By the way, this trade for me was the highlight of all of 2022. Like picking Slafkovsky at the draft was very exciting, but that whole trade at the draft by far is the most exciting moment in hockey, anyways, for me in 2022. So I'll say that about the trade.
It wasn't anticipated.
So Romanov oh man, it was so awesome. I still, like, whenever I'm in a bad mood, I go on YouTube and I watch that whole thing with Gary Bettman, and I like just little hairs on my arms stand up when I watch it. It's so awesome. The draft should be in Montreal every year. Anyways, so the trade here is Romanov to Chicago, or sorry, Romanov to the Islanders, and then they get the draft pick, and then they trade to Chicago for Doc. So really the question here, guys, I think it's a no-brainer that they would trade Romanov because of the depth that Montreal had. Notice, Randy, I didn't say D. I said the Montreal Canadiens had on left-hand D. It made a lot of sense for them to move Romanov for that asset. Now, the big question, though, is will Kirby Dach end up being a better player than Frank Nazar Jr., who Chicago picked with a 13th overall pick? So that's still a debate. Frank Nazar Jr. is a hell of a hockey player. Now, I can see, Montreal has quite a few smallish players already, so maybe that's not who they would have selected there. But so I think, we're going to be a couple years away, guys, to really see. I think, Romanov fits in really nicely with the Islanders. Really a Lamoriello kind of guy, other than long hair, which he had to cut off, and he looks kind of weird without the long hair, to be honest, Romanov, but it's okay. At least he didn't have like a turtleneck or a goatee like Plekanec, so it's a little less weird to see. But so Nick, who knows? This trade might end up working out really well for you. Let's see how Frank Nazar Jr. plays out. That's really kind of what we'll be comparing in 3-4 years from now. Doc versus Nazar Jr.
Pretty much. I love the deal for Montreal because I like Kirby Dach, but I especially love the deal for the Islanders. I think Romanov was exactly what the Islanders needed. They needed another defenseman who could help Dobson.
That's a good point.
And I think the biggest winner out of this deal was the Islanders with Romanov. I think the Islanders needed Romanov as much as Montreal needed Kirby Dach.
Debatable. I don't know. The Islanders have like three. Like, I don't know. Like they already had a pretty solid defense. Like, to me, the biggest glaring problem with the Islanders is scoring. They play they have Sorokin, who's arguably, like, conservatively speaking, he's in the top 5 goalies in the league, if not higher. And you've always played like a really solid defensive.
Yeah, but
sorry, what? Who leads the NHL in defensive scoring? Who leads the NHL in defensive scoring?
I'm going to assume the Islanders, since you're bringing it up.
25 goals.
Okay.
From their back end.
Well, so you're making my point for me then, Randy. Like, did they really need another defenseman?
Yeah. They didn't have 25 goals before they got Romanov.
Well, Romanov, I don't think has probably more than one. Like, he's not really.
He doesn't have more than one. No. Yeah. No, I know. I just.
But
your point is valid. Your point is very valid. I just thought the Islanders needed Romanov. I just thought he was a perfect fit. But
look, what it does is, and I agree with you, Randy. I think it does give them 4 solid defensemen. And come playoff time, you're going to feel their physicality. This is a difficult team to play against, and if Sorokin's at the top of his game, and we talk about their lack of offense, but here they are. They're in the top 12 in the league in scoring.
Still in the top 12.
It's not going to last.
Yeah, not going to last. It's not going to last. Maybe not, but you know what? I'd be content even in the middle of the league at 16th, right?
Yeah, we'll read 5 goals tonight.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. And they're spreading it out. It's not just Barzal, right?
No, it's Lee. Lee's their leading goal scorer. It's Lee that's doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Lee has been revamped. He's woken up. Lee and Nelson. Yeah.
I'm not sold on their offense. I'm not sold on their center position either, to be honest. Like I think they could definitely use another offensive center. Like when Pajot's on your second unit power play, that's probably not great.
Yeah, that's probably true. They have two good centers in Nelson and Barzal. And
Nelson,
that's not good enough.
Yeah.
But again, if you think about that, they don't have no left defenseman. They was looking for someone. They got Romanov. That would be a good thing about that. Secondly, Montreal get that Doc. And then Montreal needs a spot, an open spot on the left defenseman. With Romanov with Montreal right now, you don't have any winger besides Suzuki Caulfield. You don't have a second center, whatever you call it, for Doc. And the thirdly, you maybe not have Jacky in the lineup tonight. He's maybe with Laval Rocket because of that situation. So if you fix everything like that, if you think about Nazar with the Islanders, but the problem with the Islanders, Nazar will be there for 3-4 years. They're not going to help him what they believe the team right now need to win. You have a good standard of the team with there. So Romanov a long term will be a good asset for them. They stabilize honestly the top 4 defensemen, and the contract is below $5 million. And just put all together. I always said to you for what you said, Marco, about Nazar with Chicago and Montreal. I'm not saying they're going to pick Nazar. Maybe they will go with Neteru Kimaki or someone else, or Kemel, whatever they're going to get. I think for Montreal, they believe they get a big 6-3 in return. I think that's pretty good for Montreal. Who knows what Nazar is going to do in the future anyway. So,
yeah, we shall see.
Big one, Minnesota, Los Angeles Kings. Kevin Fiala got traded from Minnesota to the Los Angeles Kings. Fiala, we know, brings some kind of good asset for the Kings. So just give us a little bit of your information about that.
Fiala was a great pickup for LA. I thought, unfortunately, Minnesota couldn't hang on to him because of Cap's issues. He's been a great addition, has contributed offensively. And we see it this year. LA's problem is not offense, which it was last year. It's the fact that they're not keeping the puck out of their own end. The defense has not been good. Goaltending has not been good. I mean, they kind of bought a bit of life here because of the goalie that they just picked up. Name escapes me right now. What's his?
He's an ex-pick.
The goalie.
Ex-Capital goalie. Copley.
No, not the. Yes, Copley. Yeah,
Copley.
I think that he's Copley. Tomato.
Tomato.
I think he's I think he's kept them in the games, and it's been the difference for them. But Fiala, great addition. I think he's their leading scorer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, he is.
Yeah. A good trade. Like Bill Guerin was kind of in a bit of a tough spot, right, with the salary cap. Like they had that really kind of the big reckoning coming after having to buy out Parise and Suter. So that was they didn't really have much of a choice, and decent return, right? Like a first round pick and Brock Faber for Fiala. So it's a pretty nice return considering, like, you have like a gun to your head. The whole league knows that you can't afford to re-sign him. So a good bit of stick handling from Guerin, even though he was more known for his net front presence. Good stick handling from Bill Guerin on that one. So I think it's a good trade for both teams. Nice fit in LA for Fiala, and Minnesota, really got good value in return for him, considering the whole league knew that they won't going to be able to actually sign him. So good move by both teams.
To me, when I first saw the trade, I was thinking that was a lot for Fiala because he's not proven. Like, he was good in Minnesota, but he could have been good because of his line mate in Minnesota. I didn't know how he was going to do on his own. I didn't know how he was going to do on his own.
And he didn't play with Kaprizov most of the time, and he still put up a lot of points. But yeah, for sure.
No,
He was known to be a bit
I'm not
inconsistent when he
true.
was
I
in
think that
Nashville.
I made a mistake there. He didn't play with the Russian that much, the whole time.
No,
You're
no,
right.
no.
So
Wasn't he on the line
that
with?
was my mistake when I thought I was worried about the return from Minnesota.
Did he
But
not?
yeah,
I thought he played with Boldy as well, right?
yeah, that's who he
Yeah,
did play
Boldy.
with. I was
Yeah.
wrong.
Yeah.
Well, he mostly played with
Boldy only
Boldy.
came on
Yeah.
like halfway. He only played half the season
Yeah.
last year, right? So
Yeah.
Yeah, and he came out of nowhere. So yeah, no, Minnesota did fantastic in that deal. Guerin earned his pay. On the
Brock
same
Faber's
time, it's
hoping
really
the
worked out
hometown.
with LA. And the
Right,
same
and
time,
then
it worked
Boston.
out well with them.
Trade Anand Boston, Lingholm, bust to the boom for Anand Boston, Lingholm.
Unbelievable. This guy's been the backbone of Boston, if you ask me, very quietly. Like he's just put up. He's been playing great hockey. I did not see this coming. I thought he was always good, but not to the extent that he's showing so far this year. I don't have his stats in front of me, but he's up there in the plus minus category. He's been a rock, for the team, and they could, especially with all the injuries that they had at the early part of the season. He had a lot. Yeah, he had a lot to offer, and continues to do so.
So you're 100% bang on. Definitely the rock of the team so far. His number still kind of scares me though. Because they signed him for 8 years, right?
Yep.
8 years, yeah.
And
Yeah.
So that's a big ticket, but he's at 4.85.
Six.
You know,
What's
it's
his
8
age,
years,
Marco?
and yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I think he must be.
I thought he was
28.
6
That's
million.
usually.
I thought he was 6 million at 8 years, wasn't he?
Yeah, no, he's 28 years old,
28 years
and
old.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure he's at 8 years. So listen, like Boston's in win now mode, right? So
Yeah.
I think they are getting way more than they probably even dreamed that they would get. Similar to kind of what we were saying about Giordano in Toronto, like his value increased even more with with the kind of tough situation they had at the beginning of the year with all their injuries. So great move for them. What did Anaheim get for him? That's what I'm trying to.
First round
What did
pick.
Anaheim get?
First rounder, I do believe.
For first round, yeah.
So
First
that
rounder.
was it. Just the first round.
Now
Yeah.
they get
So they got a first
prospect
and
also with
second.
that.
Oh, that's right. A prospect,
Yeah, they got
too.
a
First rounder and a prospect.
They got a first in 2022, second in 23 and 24, and Urho Vaikinen and John Moore. So that's a nice.
Well,
That's
did
like
they get
three.
what?
That's a nice
That's
package
3 picks.
for.
Yeah.
3 picks and a couple
Yeah,
of good
so-
prospects.
We'll see how that works out for. We'll see who Anaheim selects with those picks, but it's a deep draft this year, and they get a second round pick this year and next year. So, what's his name?
Ultimately-
Madden in Anaheim. He's like
Madden,
probably one of
yeah.
the best directors of scouting in the NHL. So I'm sure he'll, fully utilize those picks, and Anaheim has like a really nice pipeline of talent already. So.
Let's put it this way: if Boston wins the cup this year, it's all well worth it for them.
Yeah.
Regardless of what
yeah.
happens
Well,
in the next 7 years.
I mean,
Yeah.
at the beginning of the year, we thought that McAvoy was their leader in defense.
Yeah.
And he went down.
Well, he still is.
Where would Boston
But
be
he
without
still will
Lindholm?
be. Yeah.
He's their
Boston would be
McAvoy's still by
nowhere.
far their best defenseman.
yeah.
Oh, by far, he still is. But my point is that where this year has been, where would Boston be without Lindholm? Like,
Yeah.
It's like coach.
fantastic.
It's like Intertap or coach without Intertap. I don't know if I could step up and Lindholm up the place while Intertap is away for that long. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'm losing all my predictions
You were
tonight.
asking about whether somebody had some pictures, Marco. Does Intertap have some pictures of you now? Like, what does he got? What did he do to get that kind of?
Yeah.
Intertap's probably got some compromat on me. I'm sure. Yeah.
Okay,
Next
next.
one, trade the Tampa Bay Lightning trade for Nick Paul from Ottawa, and then they got Agel for the Chicago Blackhawks. I wonder, really never talk about him because they always thinking about Kirby Doc and they bring Cap, but he's a big trade to trade that line. Then they got an extension contract at Nick Paul, and the both of them play a big role now for the team. First round, first line for with Point and Kisharov, and Nick Paul now play a second line over Anthony Cirelli with Stankos and Killorn. So think about this. I know they gave a lot in return, but it's still, I think they play a major role inside of their team.
They do, and this is one of those cases where it helped both teams. But I think especially Tampa. I mean, we saw the value just in the playoffs alone last year, especially that Leaf game where he put in 2 goals, and it was really the deciding factor in that game 6, I want to say, that the Leafs probably should have won there and taken the series. But he's producing, and he's doing exactly, what was anticipated of him, probably more so.
Oh yeah, like Nick Paul is a revelation, I would say, since he's been in Tampa. I would say the turning point for him was probably the World Championships, where he had that really big World Championships for Canada.
Yeah,
When him and Brown had that really nice final game, and I think he was a big part of why Ottawa surged in the last part of last year. So you can see his trajectory has definitely been trending upwards, and even more so since he's been in Tampa. To me, the Hagel deal is very, very fascinating in the sense that it shows you the value of assets that are locked in, right? Like, so assets that you control for a long period of time, because there's no way that in terms of production that Hagel is worth 2 first-round picks, right? Like, it's laughable.
right.
But it shows you, like, with the flat cap, because of the flat cap and because he was signed, I believe, to 4 years under $2 million, it's like a perfect situation for Tampa, right? Like, they need to find puzzle pieces that can fit under their cap structure. And so to me, this is a very fascinating deal. If ever you're lucky, like, to me, like, a good example is, so imagine if Montreal had signed Ryan Poehling to, a 4-year deal worth like 1.5 million, and then it turns out Ryan Poehling could play hockey and was playing really well, that he would be probably more valuable than a lot of our top prospects, because of the fact that he can go play on your third line, and he's locked in for 4 years at 1.5 million. You're going to have like teams busting down your door for an asset like that, right? So kind of lucky. So, it's one of the, here's another one for you, Nick. Nick, this is a great move by Chicago to lock in Hagel at that price and then be able to flip him for 2 first-round picks. Probably the smartest move. I'm not sure if it was Bowman that did that before he got booted out the door, but if so, then good on him to recognize the value in locking him in for that deal, and it ended up being a huge return for Chicago.
And guess who had the winning shootout goal in the Ottawa-Boston game?
Really,
The Brinkat.
Is it Paul again?
The
Brinkat. Oh, there you go.
The Brinkat.
Okay.
3-2.
All right.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that one too. You know what I like about Hagel and Paul is that they can intertwine. Like they can fill in the top second line in emergency.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. They're capable of doing that, and they can also go down to the fourth line. They're very interchangeable. They can go in where you want to put them. They can do it. They can adjust to it. That's what I like about them. But I love the deal for Chicago. You're absolutely dead on with what you said. You lock up your assets and then you trade them for more assets. That's hockey business 101 right there. That's the way to do it. Excellent point, Marco.
Just like Monahan. Just like Monahan.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see how that works out. Yeah. Well, either way, with
exactly.
Monahan, like we've already gotten a first round pick for him, right? So
right.
It's just found money. Anything else is like ridiculous. It's like winning.
You're probably
the
going to
lottery
get another
twice.
first or second round pick at the deadline.
Yeah,
We'll see, man. Like, I don't know about that because I think a lot of teams are going to be nervous about his health, but we'll see how he rebounds here and how quickly he can come back.
All right, we welcome a couple of people show up. Roger Delaney pop up, Zenit Gaming pop up. Thanks so much, both of you. Rick Kane just pop up. So thanks. If we miss you guys, we appreciate it. Don't forget to click on the like. That'd be awesome. Montreal trade Lekonen to the playoff hero for the Avalanche, Colorado. They got Justin Barron and a second round pick. Very quickly, what do you think about this?
Well, again, it's going to be one of those trades that you have to wait and see in terms of where Barron ends up in terms of his career and what impact does he have in the future with Montreal. For Colorado, it's like what I was saying before. They acquired him. They were after him for at least a year, from what I heard Sakic in an interview. So, he was sought out. They won the cup, and that already makes it worthwhile for them. I think they were working when they gave us Barron. They were working from a position of strength in terms of assets because their defense is, top notch in Colorado. So it's definitely a win for Colorado, but not only because of the cup, but also what he continues to offer and contribute. He can step in at any spot in those four lines. And for Montreal, we'll have to wait and see.
I see William Snyder in the chat there, rubbing his hands together as we talk about this one. That was a huge, man, I don't think there's more clutch player in last year's playoffs than Lehkonen. Like, I believe he scored the winning goal in both the conference final and the Stanley Cup final. So I don't know, since Martin Gélina, I can't think of a more clutch guy, so just amazing, right? So this one still hurts for me. I'm not going to lie. Like, I hate to rope in Bergevin into this, but I feel like I have to, by signing Armia or Hoffman or, any of those guys would directly contributed to them not being able to sign Lehkonen, right? And to me, I think Lehkonen would be a guy that would fit so perfectly in the culture that St. Louis is building right now, and it still hurts to see him with another team. I was such a huge Lehkonen fan. I know it wasn't in this community. I wasn't. There's no video evidence from me being on the channel saying how much I love Lehkonen, but you can go to my Twitter and see that I had a lot of debates with people about Lehkonen when people used to think that he should be scratched and everything else. So as a big Lehkonen guy, you guys remember from the summer when I wasn't super confident about Barron. You guys all had Barron up in our top four, and I was like, ooh, well, let's wait a minute for Barron. Like, he seemed a little bit like Bambi out there at the end of last year. He had a nice goal, but then the rest of the time he didn't seem to really have balance. So hopefully, so again, I'm a Habs fan. I'll use we here. So we hope that that he does turn out to be a good asset. We hope that he comes up here and he's had some time in Laval. I haven't watched him a ton in Laval because the games that I watched, he was injured. So let's hope this works out. But this one still stings. I'm not going to lie, and I blame Bergevin directly.
To me, it's a no-brainer for Colorado. Barron wasn't going to be on Colorado's team. They have the deepest defense in the NHL. To me, they didn't give up much assets. They gave up a second-round pick and to a defenseman that might never ever play for them.
Guys, would you have done Newhook instead of? Would you have asked for Newhook instead of Lehkonen?
No,
I would have, but Colorado would have never done it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
I don't. There's no way. There's no. I would have, Marco, but I don't think in any rational would Sakic, who by the way has balked at the Rangers, the Blackhawks wanting Newhook for Kane. He balked at that. So if he's not going to trade Newhook for Kane, you're not going to get Newhook for him. I just don't think Colorado would ever trade Newhook. But that's just
I think
my
it was
opinion.
it was a master class by Sakic because he, like, there's all, you guys remember, right? Like, I forget who it was, but there's this score of people who are like, oh my God, like Colorado made such a bad move here. Barron is, such an underrated asset. Like all these people in the Colorado organization that were kind of really, really selling him hard in the public discourse. And yeah, so definitely he's been a bit of a disappointing asset so far.
Don't sell him short. Don't sell him short. I mean, he's still very young, and he seems to, at least in the last little while in Laval, he seems to have gotten his act together a little bit. But he's still gonna require a lot of development. And but I think this guy could be, that quarterback that they need on the power play.
One thing the coaches. Oh, go ahead, Marco. Go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully, his ceiling to me is that he'll be able to be our fourth defenseman. That's a ceiling. But really, I think a more reasonable one is he'll be like a bottom pairing guy, and that can maybe play a second unit power play, maybe, right? I think that's what Barron is. Like at the very least, at the very highest, he's not going to be a top pairing defenseman. Maybe he develops to the point where he can play on the second pair, but I don't see it.
Yeah, second pair would be good. I would like to see him on there.
As the coach has told me over and over again, that it takes defense, right, Coach, the longest to mature, right, Coach?
Exactly.
Yeah. It takes defense longer to mature.
I think for me, it's too early to qualify that trait yet. You talk about a guy 21 years. He just turned 21 years old. He has 16.25 games in Laval. And he can become at 22 years old. Maybe a guy can score 10 goals in NHL. He have an amazing, great shot. Look, Colorado refused about 10 times to trade Justin Barron in the last 2 years. Everybody were asking him to get him and the trade. And they hold until they get Lekonen in return. I think the benefit for both teams, Lekonen have no chance with the Montreal Canadiens. He will not be the player he is right now because he have no player here in Montreal to sell. And if you look about Lekonen, what he did, how many goals he missed with Montreal Canadiens, he was dead at the bottom six with Montreal. Now, a long term, I think he would be 30 years old, 31 years old when Montreal would be good. I think it would be a little bit too late about that, and he can afford like $4 or $5 million. With Montreal, I don't think so. It was advantage. I think Montreal want to go lower at Young, and you never know. Second round pick 2024. It could be another Lane Hudson. It could be who knows what could he get draft. And that's what I said. You have to wait a little bit longer. Right now,
you have to wait. Yeah.
You have to wait to see what's happening about that trade. We have two more trades before we jump a little bit and we hit the 10 o'clock. So, NHL trade goalie walk out very well. Toronto got Murray. New Jersey got Vanecek. Detroit got Uso. Colorado got Georgiev. Ottawa got Talbot. All those trade guys about trade, they are not signature like Samsonov or Fleury extension, everything like that. So they are all trade about this. And maybe you can pick one of you guys, pick up a goalie and another team, whatever it is. So we don't talk about one subject or one specific goalie. So in our top pick, the goaltender you're more impressed about that list over there.
I think I'd have to go with Husso in Detroit, personally. I think they were expecting more out of Nedeljkovic as well, but he's been pretty much a bust, and he was last year as well. If one thing that they were guilty of last year, Detroit, is they were allowing a lot of goals, and they didn't have a suitable backup. And Husso's come in, and he's given him an opportunity to win on a nightly basis whenever he plays. And I think you can't underestimate that. That's it. Once you're strong in net, you can work up the middle as well. But that's a big part of Detroit's success so far this year.
Agreed.
And look at where St. Louis is.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, this list, coach, like you're right. Like these, I think Talbot to me is maybe marginally on this list here, just because there hasn't been a lot of team success with him so far. But I think it's fair that he's on this list. It's hard to choose. Like they're all meeting the needs of the team that acquired them, honestly. So this is really hard to choose one. Like I think probably the most interesting one, or the two that I'd point out, I guess that were the riskiest ones, would be Toronto and Colorado, right? Because Colorado, like you're coming off a year where Kemper won you a cup, and you decide to move on from him and kind of go with somebody that's unproven as a number one, and so far it's worked out, but a pretty huge gamble there. So it seems to be paying off so far. We'll see how that works. And Toronto still, another huge gamble with Murray in terms of his health. But I if we're not talking about overall goalie acquisitions, like I like Toronto's move. Like, I think if they can ride Samsonov throughout the season here enough and keep Murray rested, then Murray has that pedigree where he can come in and get hot during a playoff run. So yeah, these are all really nice acquisitions doing the job where they're with the teams that traded for them.
I'm at the point, coach, where it's 1 and 1A. Husso and Gorchiev out of Colorado. I'm 1 and 1A there. I think those are the two best names in that group.
Yeah. Like you said, Marco, everybody would have a good. For me, for everybody there, I'll be honest with you. For me, it's Georgiev. Like, I wasn't expect Georgiev to be good like he is right now with Colorado. I was expecting this would be good in Detroit. Talbot would be stabilized their situation. Vanecek, for me, is good, but not great. But Murray is stabilized with Samsonov. But Georgiev, I wasn't expect. I think he played over my expectation. Good for him, by the way. And
yeah.
He did.
But he had the pedigree, right?
Yeah,
he had the pedigree when he played for the World Juniors for Russia. I mean, this guy was outstanding, and you knew that he needed the opportunity to play a little bit more than what he was in New York. I mean, Shesterkin obviously stole the show last year, and and
selfishly though, guys, just as
with Colorado.
From a Montreal Canadiens perspective, though, did you guys find it shocking that Montreal wouldn't have taken a flyer on either Georgiev or Samsonov this summer, considering the scarcity of young,
goalies,
under mid-20s goalies? That I still like him. Samsonov, I guess they'll have a shot. If he continues to do well, he is a UFA, I guess, at the end of the season. But
yes, he is.
I still find it surprising that they didn't take a shot. Because Georgiev wasn't that expensive.
That's a good point. Marco. I definitely think that's an area that they have to address, because you can't move forward in your development if you haven't secured a good prospect as your goalie.
And you bring up another good point about Samsonov, because Kallgren, with how well Kallgren played, he could be ready next season as a backup. Toronto may not re-sign Samsonov for next year.
Super chat. Thank you so much. We're not going to dance right now, but we're going to do it a little bit later. Real Dale Prim, thanks so much about the super chat. We were kind of you. Thanks so much. The next trade, the last one before we go to the worst and then milestone. The initial trade, the biggest trade, I think, for the last years and many years, the Florida, Calgary, Huberdeau, Wegar, and Tkachuk. And really interesting about your perspective. What do you think about that trade overall?
I think Randy should go first on this one.
This one has to be a family one, doesn't it? Huberdeau hasn't worked out yet so far for Calgary, and neither is Weegar. They're having a hard time fitting into the system. On the other hand, you look at the Panthers, they're worse off than Calgary was. This might be a trade that hasn't worked out for either one of the teams, because Florida hasn't recovered for losing Weegar in defense. Their defense is awful, coach. They're terrible. They're absolutely awful. Unless they find
are
somebody
bad.
to come in, they're in trouble. They're really bad. So
And we
to
love
me,
that. As Habs fans, we're all down for that. We're down for
oh yeah,
the pen.
in my
Keep
opinion,
it going.
Coach, this is hurt both teams. This trade has not helped either one of the teams. To me, both teams have taken a step back. I might be wrong. Am I being too negative, guys? I think both teams have taken a step back.
No, you're bang on, Randy. I was going to say the same thing. Like a lot of times, you get trades where you have a clear-cut winner, and in other cases, both teams win out. This is a case I think both teams lost out, and it's just I think for Calgary it was a shock. It was a shock both to Huberdeau and it was a shock to Uyghur because I thought that they thought that they were safe in Florida, and I get why they probably did it because they wanted to change the complexion of what Florida was, especially the way they went out 4 straight to Tampa. So they thought, you know what, if we get somebody like Kachuk to come in here, this guy is not only, a point getter, but he's also, he's got that playoff pedigree to him that will help us. But look at what you lost in the process. And we won't even talk about the draft picks that Zito threw in as well. Like that could become something. It might not be anything, but just based on the players alone. Now they were successful in signing both of them. Did they sign Uyghur? Yeah, they signed Uyghur, right?
6 years at $6 million.
Yeah. So at least they were successful to maintain these two players because, of course, Huberdeau was. Coach never believes me, but he was going to leave Florida anyways and go to Montreal. But that's another story for another time. And
well, we're lucky that didn't happen. We're very lucky that didn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm just kidding around. Kachuk, I mean, he's doing what he can in Florida, but it's not enough. It's got to be it's got to be about a team effort and team work, and we'll see where this goes. But it doesn't look good for either one.
Nope, neither one.
So I think for this trade, what I remember the most is I think we all learned about it on the show, so that was cool. It happened live. I think our coach, I think it was happening right at the end of your show. The music was going and everything. You're like giving shout outs to everybody, and then I put in the chat, oh my God, Kachuk just been traded. And you're like, what? And then you started it. Then you did another live show right after the show had ended.
Yeah,
so
because it was like, if you remember, it was a Friday night about 11:30 p.m.
Yeah. It was huge.
You just finished you just finished the Frenchy quiz, and then we jumped on and did like another hour. So that was fun. So, but Coach, I think the guys have covered off pretty well. It's definitely the biggest trade, but I'm going to protest and not comment on this trade because I think you're missing one of the biggest trades, which was Sherratt for Bedard.
Sherratt for Bedard. We don't know yet about that one over there.
Well,
about this
that would be
one,
the biggest trade of the year for sure.
Would be interesting about. I think, like many of you said, that night when they traded Kachuk, everybody, a lot of people was drunk at the bar after that when they heard the news. They ordered more beer and a scotch after that when they saw that one over there. But yeah, we did not talk about Sherratt. It was another trade where Bill Zito, we can talk about him a little bit later for sure. Make a couple of strange trades on the trade deadline. But we're going to talk about different thing here. Is the worst sign contract of the off summer. It was Jack Campbell. We know he is the winner of the Turkey Awards Hockey National Show year number 2 after Jeff Petrie. But any other player you may be thinking about his signature or anything you're thinking about, this was not a good deal as a UFA?
Well, he was the runner-up, Coach. It was KK, I think, that won.
Yeah,
KK. He was the runner-up, Coach.
I did not talk about a trade for Kokanemi offer sheet, but he was on 2021.
No, but KK was the big turkey. He was the big turkey.
KK was the turkey.
KK was,
you're right. He was Kokanemi. Yeah, absolutely about this one. There, he was on nomination.
Yeah, Campbell was. Campbell was runner-up.
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. I think he should have won, actually. All right, go ahead, Intertap.
So do I.
No, you know what? I really thought that Edmonton thought that they were going to get their number one goalie here, but he's lacked in consistency. I don't think it's a matter of skill with this guy. I think it's all north of the chin. It's all in the brain, and this guy does not have the self-confidence to get himself through rough patches of time. Now, they're in a real dilemma because thankfully Skinner has been playing decently, and so he's been drawing a lot of the time. But you paid this guy I think it was $5 million for how long? 5 years, I think,
5 years.
Or 6?
Yeah.
5 years. So that's a lot of money to have on your bench as a backup goalie. So they're going to have to rethink this situation. Absolutely.
See, but Entertap, you have to also calculate. So they're paying him $5 million, but they're also paying $3 million in sports psychologists to keep him on the right track, right? Like he's so like, I'm almost afraid. I feel bad, kind of like, hopefully he's not on YouTube and like Googling himself and he's watching this, but man, like, so it's tough, right? Like it's tough with psychological issues and mental health issues. So you feel for the guy because he's so hard on himself. So you wonder if playing in a Canadian market was really the right move for him. Like, he seemed to fit in nicely in Toronto. They had him in a nice cocoon of comfort, like giving him all the emotional support that he needed to kind of function well. So obviously something went awry with Dubas in the negotiations there. But listen, like, Edmonton is not like, it's not Toronto or Montreal, but it's a Canadian market, and it's a tough place to play, especially with a team that has the expectations that it has. So hopefully he can turn it around. Like, it's pretty well documented. He seems like a really genuinely nice guy. So you hope that he can turn it around. But it's a very, like you said, Entertap, very tough spot for them with what they've committed for him. But Coach, I think you're right. Like, it's hard. I'm hard pressed to think of a worse signing. So far, you could argue Huberdeau in terms of value is right there.
I was going to say that.
It's not signed yet. His contract is only start next year.
That's right too. That's a good point, Coach.
So you have to wait on that one there. I would say another contract, maybe you can talk that direction. It would be Eric Garbranson for the Columbus Blue Jacket.
$3
million.
Yeah, he's been garbage.
That's pretty bad.
That's the one.
I mean, I was upset.
But that's not like he's underperforming. It's like, as soon as he signed it, everybody was like, "What just happened there?" Like, it's not like, "Oh my God, good Branson is not worth $4.5." What a shock!
I was upset that Calgary didn't sign him, and then I laughed when I found out how much Columbus paid for him.
Oh my gosh, that was bad. And I would say, even although I see the reason why, but Sherrod in Detroit this year, I don't think it's working out very well for them. And even if you look at the Rangers, part of the reason why they were losing initially at the beginning of the season was the fact that they lost Ryan Strome, and they thought picking up Trocheck would be the natural substitution there, but it hasn't been. Yeah.
And you can add Halak to that ugly signing too.
Halak,
he hasn't exactly done well in New York either. He's not exactly Mr. Vezina Trophy winner either.
Next thing I want to talk about, guys, what's value of the contract Chicago Blackhawks, Zeb Jones. He said, he signed his contract exactly like Huberdeau. So this is his first year. He got his $9.25 million. A year ago, I think I would say to you, Daniel Nurse. But this year, I have to go with Zeb Jones at 9.12 with the Chicago, what they have. And I think this is the worst of value when you talk about GSVA, everything like that. And you have any other player you're thinking as the value of his contract.
If it was last year, I would be saying Erik Karlsson, but man, did that ever change this year so far? Like, it's hard to think of a player like, you had Skinner a couple years ago that looked really ugly, but that he's really rebounded, and Karlsson is a good example. So listen, Seth Jones is still a young player. hard to really get up for a season like this, where you see half of your core being traded away for parts. And so hard, I'm sure he's a competitive guy, similar to Patrick Kane. And the problem for Seth Jones, at least Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews can look back fondly on their Stanley Cups and be like, oh, well, we had a good run. But Seth Jones doesn't have that luxury, right? Like, he's just looking ahead at a 7-year run with, where at least 4 or 5 of these years is going to be pretty tough, right? So, I still believe in Seth Jones. Like, especially once the cap goes up, this number might not look as bad as it does this year and next year with the flat cap still happening. There are some rumors around Ottawa maybe kicking some tires on Seth Jones recently. To me, like I don't see how he fits into what Chicago's doing right now, but tough to move him with that number.
He's not old. He's not old. Well, yeah,
he's not old.
Like
$9.5 million for the next 7 years for a defenseman.
Well,
That's probably worth about seven and 7.5.
Like,
he's like Nurse.
Yeah. I mean, he was
Nurse
brought
and
in
him
to
were
be
both
their franchise player, right? And unfortunately, they've gone the opposite direction, and that's where the problem is. Because I think if you surround them with a decent partner and some good core pieces, I think, Marco, you're right. He will contribute. He's not a bad player, but
no,
what Chicago's going through right now, you can't have a $9.5 million player just hanging around like that doing
I would have gave him about the same amount of money as Nurse when I saw the Nurse contract. I think they're both $7.5 million defensemen.
Nah, you can't compare Nurse. Like, I think Seth Jones is a way more dynamic player than, like, Darnell Nurse is maybe a number 2 defenseman. I think he's a good top pairing defenseman, but he doesn't have any offensive or barely any offensive upside. Well, how many goals? What is the most amount of goals that? I don't think he's ever scored 10 goals in the NHL, right?
Who? Darnell Nurse? Oh, yeah.
Darnell Nurse?
Yeah, 14.
Yeah, he
scored 10 goals?
Yeah, 13, 14, 2 years ago, before he got his
scored
contract.
13 or 14 2 years ago.
That's
why he got his money.
He has this. Yeah, I just don't. I don't see that there's that much offensive game there compared to Seth Jones. Like, you can't, like, we're not comparing Seth Jones and Darnell Nurse in terms of the quality, right? Like, to me, Seth Jones is absolutely like an elite defender in the NHL. He's a right-hand shot. I don't know if maybe it's just I'm biased. Like, like, he dropped a little bit in the draft and everything, but, like, man, like, he's still, a top end defender in the NHL. I think, like, it just obviously hasn't worked out in Chicago, but just a weird move by Stan Bowman there before he left. Like, it was kind of his last kick at the can to try to bring him in, and then it didn't really work out last year for the Hawks, right? So I don't know. Like, I think they have to try to do something with that guy. Like, I don't know. Like, Ottawa's an interesting fit there. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you would move back to make room for him. But I don't know.
All right.
Well, if you're Ottawa, would you rather have him or Chychrun?
I'd rather have Jones.
Yeah,
I'd rather have
hockey perspective. From a hockey perspective, just because he's a right-hand shot, and
I agree. I think if anything, they should make a move for that, because the asking price for Chychrun is way too high, and I hope Ottawa doesn't get sucked into that. I'd sooner them try to put a package together for Seth than Chychrun.
Yeah,
he's a left defenseman. That's the problem.
I know.
Jones is right-handed.
Yeah.
No, Chychrun's left-handed, but he plays on the right side.
Chychrun's left. Yeah.
All right. The worst game last season, it was during the season 2022, was que le Columbus Blue Jacket Capricorn played 30 minutes during that game. There was lead 4-0. Then they lost 7 goals against the Carolina Hurricanes, 7-4. 5 versus 5 every time he was on the ice, he got outshot the team 46-7, and he was on the ice 5 of the 7 goal of the opponent team. Consider as all the analytic data result about X goal and all the stuff like that. It was the worst performance for any other players in NHL in 2022. So I just want to share with this. Interesting because Caprigav is now on the UFA next year. He's really on the trade bait for many teams to get him, where Toronto is looking to add him at some point.
I hope not.
So what you're saying, coach, is you're not going to be his agent this year or in the summer? You're not going to be representing Gavrikov in his
Not
new
this year.
contract negotiations?
About that.
Year. Okay.
Worst moment in 2022, of course, is the Hockey Canada scandal 2018, plus many other things happening with that. I think it's something we're not fixed yet. You have some rumor, everything like that. But yeah, look like a little bit more a player involved, although the fact Alex Forman, but it's not confirmed yet. So will be interesting about that one there. The worst Carl Dizalo goal, Blake Coleman last year.
Amen.
Playoff game number 5 about the kick action, motion or not, everything like that. Now, Shelton O'Keefe, he's right now upset right there. Keefe is right now red and is upset behind the bench at the Toronto Maple Leafs. He looked like Pat Burns right now. He just missed the mustache. But right now, he's thinking to take a hockey stick of Reese after a high stick in the face. I'm sorry about that.
You don't have to apologize.
It's okay. We love your passion, Coach. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, we do.
You scared me, though. I'm not going to lie. You kind of scared me.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that. But,
I
keep
go,
me
what
on my
did Marco
toes.
say now?
Yeah.
By the way,
holy shit.
Mr. Natap, I don't know if you're ready to back your luggage because we are 1-7 right now. But be
That's
ready.
okay.
I'm 1-7.
I'm
I'm
sure
1-10.
Chicago will probably be 0-8. So
Yeah, we'll be interesting about that one there.
We'll
But
be
there's
safe.
something about Blake Coleman. And then the worst goal again, Mike Smith from Remus Anderson at 175 feet. And on the playoff game, if you can remember that one there. And then we have the worst team, Chicago, at .313 winning percentage January 1st. And the differential this year, Anaheim, is -63. And we're not done yet. We know Montreal hit the 100 until the last game when they won 10-2. But just give you the 2 worst thing about this. Now we're hitting really where we need a little bit more your help about this. The best player of each position, McDavid, 51 games so far, and send the playoff. And this is the beginning of the season, 99 points. McCall won the Norris, the Smythe, and the Cup, 28 points, 20 game. And Shostakin, Vizina, he's at .937 save percentage last season. And he saved, guys, is 76 game he played so far. It's 57 goals he saved. So he should give at least 57 more goals as a goaltender. Any other player you think they could be on those age position, or really they're really there are 3 dominate player on each their position.
yeah, which
of
of those 3
I would.
players?
Well, I'll say
Sorry,
this,
Ed.
man. So I think Roman Josi got robbed for the Norris Trophy last year.
Well,
The
he was the
first
first
defenseman
defenseman in
to
years.
score over 90 points. I don't know if you guys read, but like he had I forget, like he had either more first place votes.
Yeah,
than,
96
than
points last season.
96 points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the only reason
Unthinkable.
Josi it wasn't the Norris Trophy is there's this one reporter, I forget which city that he's in. This one reporter that all the reporters get to vote for the trophies, and this one guy didn't have Josi in his top 5, and as a result of that, the results got dropped and he didn't end up winning. So to me, he got listen, Makar had an outstanding playoff and certainly deserved the Conn Smythe. But I think Josi should have won the Norris last year. We'll see if there's going to be another defenseman potentially that will score 90 plus points. That is bananas. But hard to if you're just talking points, then it's hard to argue with McDavid, and Shesterkin was just in a totally different universe last season. Kind of like probably the best goaltending performance since Price, took home all the hardware, right? So
when you think about it, Markstrom would have been probably the Vezina Trophy in any other year. He had
Nine.
9 shutouts. I think he had
9.
in any other
you should have
year. He
saved
would
some
have
for
been.
this year.
Yeah.
He would
You should
be
have saved some
best.
for this year, Randy.
Oh, you're talking about this year.
Yeah.
Well, Markstrom,
this
he
is
shouldn't have used all of his
based
shutouts
on
last year.
year.
I know. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying.
Based
You
on
should have
last
saved
year,
some of those shutouts for this year.
Markstrom should be playing in. Well, he still should be playing in Calgary, but playing for the Rangers
Maybe
more than the Flames this year.
Maybe you should be in the Spengler Cup or something.
Yeah.
All right. The next thing I want to talk about the NHL performance of Austin Matthews, 60 goal. Not many players reached the 60 goal for the last couple of years in NHL. I think Ovechkin was the last one, if I can be recalled. And then you have to be. My point to you about this: do you believe that McDavid can go through the 60 goal?
100%. And I think it was. Look, I get it, and I'm not trying to diminish what Austin Matthews did last year, because 60 goals is 60 goals, and he probably could have had more. The problem was I don't think he deserved the Hart over McDavid, and I think McDavid knows that in the back of his head, and he's been on a mission ever since. And this guy not only will score 60 goals, but he's going to probably pot close to 150 points this year, and he will win the Hart Trophy hands down.
Way better.
To me,
one other key point. Go ahead, Corey.
Oh, sorry, man. To me,
no, I'm sorry. I want to.
It's okay. The thing that I think is the most shocking for Matthew's 60 goals last year is if you go back and look at the start of the season. It's insane. Like, I think he had 2 goals in his first 15 games, started off really slow. So to me, it just kind of emphasizes how crazy the rest of his season was. Like, the pace that he was scoring at, was just insane. Can McDavid score 60? Absolutely. Just because of the way that they play, and playing with the arguably the second or third best player in the league as your wingman. So yeah, he definitely seems like on a mission for sure. I think I forget who it was today, but I saw somebody on Twitter. I think it was Mike. What's that guy that was played for Montreal, the big goon, John Scott? John Scott had a pretty controversial take today about McDavid, saying he thinks that McDavid is the world's best player, but if you were choosing to build a franchise from scratch, he wouldn't be in his top 5. It's an interesting
There's
question.
a reason why he was beaten up too many times and hit in the head.
Yeah, I think so.
He was hit in the head way too many times to make that statement.
If you were starting a franchise from scratch, would your
McDavid.
franchise, the first player that you would choose is McDavid?
McDavid,
guys,
I can say that without any hesitation.
We have a penalty shot right now on the overtime between Toronto. Is D.G. Brody on penalty shot right now against Bennington, and Bennington make a save.
Brody's
You're happy, Coach. You're happy, eh?
Bennington.
Just so you know, Coach, I have
Bennington.
Samsonov in my. Our goalies are playing against each other because I have Samsonov. So.
All right, the next one, guys. Millstone happened a couple of days ago. Honestly, Ovechkin 800, 801, 822. We know this is really amazing. He best also and most shot on the net and the history pass book. So, questions for you guys about what do you think he's going to get, Wayne Gretzky or not?
I think so. As long as he stays healthy, I think he gets the record. I also believe this guy is such a physical specimen that he keeps in great shape in the off season, during the season. This guy's not going to be happy with just breaking Gretzky's record. I think he's going to legitimately try to hit 900.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Do you think he can hit 1,000?
Sorry?
Do you think he can hit 1,000?
No.
No.
He's already what, 36, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be hard,
I
Marco.
think
Now, if you put both together,
insane.
it's 1,062 goals, I believe, for Gretzky with the playoff. If you turn that, I think he was looking for reach the 1,000 goal, mix both together.
Yeah. Well, if you want to play that game, Gordie Howe actually has a lot more goals than he does because they don't count the WHA goals.
Yeah.
How many did he have?
Then you can play this
WHA
game though.
goals?
But then you can also say that with all the lockouts and COVID and everything, that Ovechkin technically would have probably
You're right,
already
too.
beaten.
That's an absolute good point too. Yep, that's an absolute good point.
Yeah.
All right.
Ovechkin had the best one-timer in the game, yes or no?
Oh yeah.
Who, Ovechkin? The best.
Yeah, does he have the
one-timer?
best
Yeah, probably.
one-timer in the league?
Definitely top
That's
3.
why he's
for
going to
sure.
get. That's why he's going to pass. That's why he's going to pass Gretzky.
Number 2, Russ Courtnall. Russ Courtnall, number 2.
Oh,
The
yeah.
deer.
Chevrolet.
I prefer Jeff Cornell, by the way, but it's a subject for the time. My son, Kate Yandel got the record last year, and then following by Phil Kessel, Aaron Man. He's still doing this, Kessel. So really impressive. Really impressive for both of them. Did it at the time where you have so many injuries, everything like that. So congratulations for that. And my son, guys, Bergeron Stamkos got the 1,000 point, and Stamkos at what 497, I believe, right now. For the goal for 500. So really interesting for both of them. Been a great hockey player for the next one. Now we're going to change the subject. We have about 4 or 5 again. Toronto score. William Nylander score and gave the W for Toronto.
I got one win now. Yay!
So congratulations on that one over there for
What
the
do we got,
people.
2?
Have got one. So
not a fun night for me, let me tell you.
now he just dropped the second floor for the jail to the first floor right now. So would be interesting. Last season, the NHL moment, guys, the back normal H2 game, the All-Star game in Vegas with new format, for shooting the puck in the middle of nowhere and the casino. And then the NHL draft 2022 in Montreal. What I would like to do, guys, maybe pick it up one subject, maybe the same situation, but not talking all the way for only one specific thing. So, in our top one, you remember the most of the NHL last year on this 3 subject. I put this over there.
I don't know. I would say the NHL draft. I'm a bit of a homer here for this, but I just thought it was an electric environment. I know a lot of people thought anything could happen here, and for the first time in a long time, it was really uncertain whether they would go with Wright or they would go with Slafkovsky. That kind of suspense hasn't existed in, like I said, many, many years. So I found that fascinating. I found the fact that there were a few trades pulled off on right on the floor there. It was great. I would probably rank that number 1.
Yeah, like Hearts. How can I disagree with that? Like I said earlier, I still watch it like every couple weeks, right? Like I've actually rewatched the draft like a couple times. One thing, the funny thing about the draft, I don't know if you guys ever watched the Sportsnet coverage of the draft where David Amber was the host, but I'm not sure what was going on with his voice, but he had a weird lisp to his voice. He was talking like this the whole time. It was just completely out of nowhere. Like, I don't know if his like dentures broke or something in the middle of the game, but he said later that it was his mic that was broken. But it was just the weirdest thing. If you go back and watch the YouTube, like on YouTube, and you watch it, and here's Montreal is going to be taking, and he had like this really weird lisp, so it makes it even more funny to go back and watch it. But Coach, now that you mention it, that All-Star thing, I love the way that you put it, shooting things out of shooting pucks out of nowhere
In the middle
at
of
the
nowhere.
casino. Yeah, in the middle of nowhere. So I remember Suzuki being on the roof of one of the casinos there, just firing pucks and just wondering what the hell's happened to my life. All of a sudden, I'm in Vegas on top of the casino, just floating pucks. Must have been such a surreal kind of feeling, right? So I definitely do remember that. But good point too, though. Like it was good to have just kind of a complete season, no asterisks on this one. Even though I don't think that the COVID seasons should have an asterisk, because arguably they're even more challenging for the players because they were isolated the whole time and all that. But very memorable year for us Habs fans for sure. Like that draft is definitely. Let's hope it's as memorable next year. Even though Nashville is a fun place to have it, but like I said, we'll see if we end up having a Sherratt for Bedard trade.
Well, the thing that reminded me of we didn't know who was going to get picked was the last time I saw that was the Hall year that he got drafted. Nobody, who's the star guy?
Eichel.
My mind's gone blank.
Eichel.
Anyway, we didn't know which one was going to get picked, Hall or the other guy. That's the last time. So to me, it's an NHL draft.
Hall and Seguin. Yeah, it was Hall and Seguin.
Seguin, that's right.
Yeah.
Nobody knew. Nobody knew who was going to get picked first.
Yeah. And you could even
And that's the last time I saw
conversation too.
Yeah,
Duchesne
that's the last time I
remember. He was
remember.
number 3.
Yeah.
But I hate All-Star games, so I'm not even going to consider that. I can't stand them. But the NHL draft for me definitely, coach. Not even close.
Yeah.
So before we move to the next subject, I ask you one thing. If you are Montreal Canadian right now, with all the players, Logan Coley, Jiricek, Nemec, Wright, and everybody else, Cutter, Gauthier, everything, do you again select, you just say yes or no? You select Sakowski. If it's yes, keep it. If it's no, who do you select? And after that.
If I had to make the choice now, would I still select Slafkovsky? Yes.
Marco?
No, I would select Jiricek.
Ryan?
I would say yes, but Gauthier, the centerman, Claude Gauthier, I would come close to picking him now. But I think I would still pick Slavatsky, yes.
I like Sakowski, but I believe David will select David Jiricek.
He is going to be so good, coach. To me, it was between Slafkovsky or Jiricek that I wanted them to take. But because of where we're at with our right-hand D, I know you're not supposed to draft because of need, but watching how Jiricek has developed here this year, like his underlying numbers are absolutely bananas in the AHL this year. We'll see how that works out.
I think I should do a video tonight about that on my app that you use. I think I should do a controversy already tonight. Do you select Sakowski or Jiricek?
Yeah.
When it comes down, down to it.
It's surprising you didn't put Nemec in the conversation.
No, I always like Jiricek more than Nemetz personally.
Nemec is a good one, but I think Jiricek is in front of him on my eyes.
I think it comes down to the best player or the need, right?
Yeah.
Every team goes through the same thing.
Don't get me wrong.
Do we go with the best player or do we go with the highest need?
I still love Slafkovsky, so I don't want to I still think he's going to be a really good player. I watched a lot of his games last year, and I was pretty confident in that pick. But just in retrospect, based on everything, to me that would have been a smart pick at the draft too, right? Because if you're already kind of going out of left field, because everybody thought it was either going to be Wright or Slafkovsky. And now the thing with Montreal is that they're always going to have that comparison, Slafkovsky versus Wright. But if they would have chosen Jiricek, then it's very hard to compare a defenseman to, you know what I mean? Like it would have.
Interesting.
I think Gordon would have got a double stare down. not just from Wright, but also Slavkovsky.
Yeah, and Cooley and everybody, and Nemitz. Yeah.
And
All right,
Nemec,
the next one is the NHL star on riser. I just mentioned name of it: Thompson, Tage Thompson, Terry, Zegras, Caulfield, Robinson, Logan Thompson, Zader, and McCarr. You can add more. That's what we got for 2022. Some have 38 goals like Thompson last season. He's doing very well, 50 points already. Terry have an amazing great year last season. Zebras about what he bring on the table. Caulfield have 43 goals and 47 with Martin St. Louis now. Robinson, he become one of the best player in NHL now. Thompson, the goaltender, I think he's really an amazing, great player, goaltender right now from Vegas. Again, he got there. And we have, of course, the winner trophy of the Calder and McCall, the winner of the Connie Smart. So my point, maybe add more players in that list if you have to. And finally, we want to welcome KLS and Adam Berger. I forgot to mention his name a little bit earlier. So welcome both of you. Thanks for the Hockey National show tonight. So anybody you want to add and maybe forget star, talking about a little bit under 23, 24 years old, most of them. So if you have any other players, let us know.
I think you got quite
It's
the
a tough
list
one
there.
off the top of my head. Yeah.
I mean, you can make a case.
You got to
for
go
all
with
of
the
these.
two Calgary kids, Thompson and McCarr.
I tried to figure out the goaltender carrying up, but you don't have enough play game on my eyes to get that level over there. But I tried to get something.
You can maybe put Sorokin in there, right? Because how old is he? Might be just a bit older, but he's kind of on the rise. Not to say he came out of nowhere, but last year was really kind of his first really good year. So maybe Sorokin is in there as a riser.
No.
Yeah.
I think we missed one there. I think we missed a Ramos Dalin.
Yeah.
Well, how about the kid in Detroit?
Well, how far back are we going?
But Dalin's only 23 years old.
Right? I think the kid out of Detroit needs some votes too, because I think Snyder. How do you pronounce his name? Snyder.
Well, he's
Cider.
Cider.
He's on the list.
I think he deserves some of the votes too.
He's on the list.
Yeah, he's there.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
Well, then I need stronger glasses.
He's just beside Santa Claus. How about that?
Yeah, sorry. I need stronger glasses. But I think
right.
I think that
he's underneath Rudolph.
I think the two Calgary kids, Thompson and Thompson,
3-star right now on the best line in NHL. Goodrow, Langholm, Tkachuk, Tressadol, McDavid, Kane, Robinson, Hans, and Pavelski. This was the line for last year for January 1st until December. We're going to hit that one over there. Any other player you mentioned, you can get that level or any other line you're thinking. Yeah. Of course, you can talk about Toronto, McDavid, McKinnon with Colorado. But any other line you want to
I don't even think that's up for debate. There's nobody that topped that Calgary line. That's not even up for debate.
Matthews, Marner, and Bunting were right there with this group, I think.
Yeah, they're up there too, for sure. But I agree. The numbers that Calgary line put up last year was surreal. If the Edmonton, maybe if Kane had started there from the beginning of the year, that may have entered the equation. And then they have the tendency to separate Draisaitl and McDavid quite a bit. So it makes it a little bit more difficult to put a proper value on that line. But yeah, I mean, those guys were all over 100 points. Two of them, I think, had 50 goals.
Two of them were over 100 points, and Lindholm had 90, 88.
I'm surprised you didn't have. I'm surprised you didn't have Dvorak, Anderson, and Dwayne on here, but it's okay. That's a big line.
You mean Hoffman?
Yes. You promised me you would not bring up Hoffman, you bad boy.
Yeah. You're the one.
Come on.
Real said about Do you consider Doc, Thompson, and Skinner at the same level, the three line we have right now here?
Well,
Me,
they
I
lead the
don't.
NHL in
Question.
scoring.
There is
Not
a good
yet,
line,
not yet.
but not the same level.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, let's let the whole season play out. I mean, we're
Yeah.
only at the 32, 33 game mark.
No, this is the calendar 2022 and not that.
I'll tell you what,
Okay,
Coach.
then definitely not.
If they stay up the whole year, I would consider that.
Yeah.
They keep it up.
Steve talk about Listagog with McKinnon and Rantanen. I think that was pretty good, but unfortunately, they did not play since October. So that's the reason they are not there. Ao Teravainen and Nikash Ochemnikov. Unfortunately, Nikash does not play with that line. Last season, play on the 4 line, and Chemnikov play usually on the 2nd line. So it was very different to put Ao and Teravainen, and Teravainen was hurt about that one there. Then Luc Lafortune talk about Bergeron. Now you can have that line with Bergeron, with Pasternak and Marchand. But unfortunately, one of them never played because Marchand did not play since October, only the last couple, and they don't play together anymore. So, it's not because everything you bring on the table and that's it against. It's just try to get something equal at what they have, the 3 line we have right now on the board. So, but
Coach,
good comments about that.
Who played on the wing with Huberdeau and Barkov last year? I forget.
But they don't play together. Barkov did not play with Huberdeau.
He
last
played
season.
on the 2nd line. Yeah,
Huberdeau was with Reinhardt on the 2nd line.
Right.
Yeah, Bennett.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, actually, Reinhardt was on the 3rd line for most of the season last year.
They play with Lundell about that one. Usually they put Duclair. Barkov will play with Duclair on the right, Everhehi together.
Yeah,
that was the line over there
most
for that.
Most of the year, Reinhardt was on the 3rd line. Like that's
and
how
finally,
much.
Guys, we hit the end about that one there. The NHL coach carousel, good and bad. We talked about the goaltender earlier. They're moving left and right, everything like that. But possibly, if you have anything you want to add a coach, right now we have about 13 new, not 13 new coach, but 13 have a new contract or new team. We talk about that, and we can also talking about the general manager. I think we have a lot of management changing last season around the league. Starting with the Chicago Blackhawks last season, and then you go all the way with the Montreal Canadiens. You can have Anaheim involved with that part over there, and then all the coaches around the table, around the league, at the trade deadline of this area. So, what do you think about most of the league, or maybe some coach you really stand up or stood out for the season?
I think there were a few really. I don't think it's one particular coach that runs away with this. Obviously, Montreal. You love what Martin St. Louis is trying to do and has done, and he's turned a few players around. You look at what Montgomery's done in Boston. Even Rick Bowness in Winnipeg. We thought, oh boy, they're going to be in trouble here because of.
We thought that we.
Oh yeah, I liked Winnipeg. As a matter of fact, last year, not this year, but last year, I had them first in that division, and then they turned out to be duds. Unfortunately,
I can't remember
them and the.
I thought you put in your calendars in our top.
Yeah, and the Islanders are working out as well, and again, you got to give credit to Lane Lambert. He's gone in there and done a great job. He's really given them the opportunity to continue with the style that they had, but also open up a little bit, and that's why we're seeing a little bit more of an offensive prowess to them. And who else am I forgetting here? The Boston coach, the name of it.
Montgomery.
Yeah.
No, you already mentioned Montgomery. Are you talking about the guy in the desert?
Boston,
that's the one that
and Vegas, right? Vegas.
Yeah, the guy in the desert. He's the one that you're forgetting. Yeah.
Bruce Cassidy.
Cassidy is the one that you're forgetting.
Those are for me the top ones. Thank you.
To me, I think the most unbelievable thing, and I'm not sure if this is a record, but we've had 0 coaches lose their job this year. I knew that it was going to be kind of a slow year in that regard because, like you pointed out, Coach, there's a lot of new deals for
Turnover.
coaches. But like we talked about earlier, like DJ Smith is, somehow blackmailing Pierre Dorion. So and then probably a very notable one too is the Lindy Ruff situation, right? Where like the first game, New Jersey fans are booing him, and then they're saying that they're sorry. So that's pretty awesome for Lindy Ruff. The journeyman there, kind of getting a fourth like kind of like breath in terms of his career in New Jersey. So that's been a nice story. Yeah, like just a very stable situation. I guess really the interesting thing on the coach side is, we can stop with the Mike Babcock rumors for a while because it sounds like he's officially retired. He was always in the conversation when there was an opening, but now the new Babcock is Barry Trotz. So we lost Mike Babcock as the kind of go-to rumor, and now Barry Trotz is the guy who's always going to be rumored to be going somewhere, especially in Canada. Based on his comments, he wants to coach an original 6 team in Canada. And it's probably not Montreal because he doesn't speak French. So we all kind of got the hint of what he meant by there. But looks like Sheldon Keefe is definitely going to see the season through here. So we'll see what happens with that.
The 2 guys that came to my mind is Keefe, first of all. I think Keefe has done unbelievable in Toronto. And I think the guy in Washington, Lafayette, deserves a lot of credit. With all the injuries that Washington has had, he's still got them in the playoff picture, which is remarkable. They've had, with all the players that they've lost, they haven't had Wilson or Backstrom in the lineup the whole season. To me, Lafayette deserves some credit.
I'm not a big Laviolette fan usually, but you're right. Like he's definitely Scotch tape and peanut butter and anything you can to get that stuck together.
I've never been a Lafayette fan either, Marco. But judging by what he's done this year, I think he deserves a lot of credit.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Of course, I'm
Luke
right.
Is Luc Lafortine's giving some Tortorella love. I like that Tortorella's in the league. I like that he's still in the league. Like
that's the best thing to happen to Philadelphia this year.
It's the best thing that's happened to the NHL. The one thing I've loved about that thing. Well, the Tortorella and the Sutter press conferences, they're the best ever.
Always,
they're fun night.
I think the only one, a lot of change happening, Lane Lambert and Wolcroft, Martin Saint. I think the only one is really struggled most, like anybody else, is really Paul Maurice with the Florida Panthers. He's really the one that I feel like the chemistry is not there. Like it did not get better. Everybody else, if you look about the team, have a new coach or Grenado and Detroit, and you know who I'm talking about. But I think the worst for me is really Paul Maurice is really where it's really questionable when you have Andrew Brunette over there. Again, like I said, I think for me that one of the worst GM in 2022 is Bill Zito. We don't that one over there.
Absolutely.
I think he's the one really really struggled about every trade, everything he did, every move. 90% of them he's wrong about that. Again, we have to wait a little bit longer, but right now I don't think so. I don't see Florida can make the playoff this season.
And that was the opposite of what we were saying last year.
Coach, I've got a question. Does Holland deserve a lot of heat this season?
So again,
for the signing of Campbell, Holland in Edmonton, how much heat does he deserve as the Edmonton GM this season for signing? And Edmonton, where are they supposed to be this year? They were supposed to be in top of the division, and they're struggling as much as Calgary. How much heat does Holland get?
Of course, again, for me, it's funny because it's not about Campbell. I think what it's for me, it's about the evaluation of the players where they did not find maybe a second pair. Because you think about the Duncan Keith, nobody talk about it, but he left the team that season. Nobody took his spot. They put Brian Kolak. Kolak, Marco, and in our time, you follow more. He's a third pairing defenseman. He's not a second pairing defenseman. If you want to have a good defenseman, you don't put Cody Ceci, your top 4 defensemen in the NHL. He's another third pairing. You cannot survive with Tyson Barrie at the regular top 4. So for me, as an evaluation of his personnel, you still have Yamamoto, you have Puljujavi over there. The bottom 6 over there is not great, and my eyes. So he's still missing piece over there. Now you talk about, I think you're absolutely right. I think Allen did not do a good job overall. Plus the Campbell, it's not a good news for them for sure about that. And they have a lot of good tools over there. I think he did good with Kane. I think he signed him a good contract about that. The signature with Iman, he did pretty good. But sometimes it's easy, those kind of, it's not the biggest difficult. Yeah. The biggest difficult is to chemistry all together. The bottom 6, find a line, the player like a good old Gord, Coleman, and all those kind of players like that. It's not easy. If you ever have a good team in the NHL, guys, look the third line. That's how it works about that one over there. I think the third line Coach, is really where a team makes it fun. That's the reason Boston is good. That's the reason at some point New Jersey was not too bad. And then you can go all over the team in the NHL.
Is that more of a indictment, though, on Edmonton's pro scouting staff more so than, because, again, like any general manager is going to be reliant on their scouting departments, right? So is that, I get what you're saying about evaluating his own personnel. But is there it's kind of like the thing with Edmonton, right? Like they still have that, like, even though Holland is there, don't they still have a lot of those old school Edmonton guys? Like I know McTavish is not there anymore, Kevin Lowe's not there, but are there still some of those like old Edmonton Oilers guys that are still hanging on in the background that are maybe not the best pro
not as
scouts
much
out there? That
Kevin Lowe is still part of the management. Marco,
but
he's still there.
I don't know. Yeah, overall, like it's tough, man. Like that is a pressure cooker, right? Like McDavid, and it's really about keeping McDavid and Draisaitl happy at this point, right? Because at some point, if they don't
100%,
if they don't kind of like build around them the right way, like 100%. This is a fleeting window. Like what I know
everybody says Toronto.
I was saying earlier that I wouldn't choose to build my team around McDavid, but he's still like one of the best players, like the best player in the league. But you need to surround him with the right pieces in order to really
win. Keith Gretzky is a St. Jim over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Now Brad Allen is a St. Jim. He's in charge about the professional scouting.
Yeah, that's what I mean. There's always been what we like, the technical word for what it's nepotism. Exactly, nepotism, right? So I think that's always been a problem in Edmonton. In Montreal, like there's no nepotism, right? Like the only nepotism is for language. Like you have to be able to speak French, and but there's not like
they kind of broke that up though, Marco. You're right, but now they don't. But in the past, it was Tremblay, Houle, like it was a regurgitation of old hockey players, and what made them good hockey players doesn't make them good management.
Good management.
Yeah.
But I thought Montreal ended that with Gordon as a GM though too, or does Gordon speak?
Yeah, but now he has his own nepotism, right? Like he's bringing all his Boston University,
I guess.
Guys. Yeah, it's always like that. Like it's very common. It's very common that like you're going to bring in people that you work well with and have a history with, and that's fine. But they have to be good hockey people. And again, like to me, nepotism, it's not necessarily okay. So they've been part of a winning organization, but like what Coach just said, right? Like it's his brother, and it's Keith Gretzky, right? So that's like nepotism at a different level. It's not just people that have been part of the Edmonton Oilers or the Montreal Canadiens organization. They're members of your family. That's just at the very least it just looks like the conflict of interest is not. It's not good.
That might be the best line of the night, Marco.
No, it's like
Yeah.
the Hunter Biden case.
We hit the 11 o'clock, guys. I know you don't want to stay there. I don't know if you want to go to Frenchy quiz. We're going to start the Frenchy quiz in the next minute. But I just want to give you Colorado is losing 5-2 again. Arizona Coyotes. Good news for
I
the
told you,
Montreal Canadiens.
Arizona.
I think right now Montreal
Coach?
Canadiens have a great night. Without play, they're getting worse on the standing. So this is good news for the Montreal
that's
Canadiens
great.
tonight about that one over there.
And you know what?
Well, based on
we totally looked over him, but I think when we're talking about coaches, Andre Tourigny in Arizona, I think he's the best kept secret out there. Like, this guy's another Martin St. Louis in terms of his communication skills with the players. He knows how to develop the young kids. They got the right guy in place there.
Yeah,
I think the way he built this team, right? The structure and how organized they are. If you look watching them play, I'm going to laugh. You're going to laugh at me, but I see them exactly like Chelsea did against Canada yesterday. They back checking, they forward checking, they structure in defensive zone. They are not easy to play inside, and they have a good goaltender. So they have the recipes to be, not a good team, but to put, always give me an average game, an average team, and my goal for me, my challenge is to make them better. Not want to win the Stanley Cup, but I'm going to make that team better. And that's what Tourigny does with Arizona. He have an average game, but maybe not below an average game, a team, and then he does make them a little bit better. Of course, it's going to be hard for them, but it's rare they get beat like 7-1 or the way Chicago get beat this season. Arizona have a better players at this.
Sorry, Nick. Sorry.
Nick.
That's Coach that said that.
Sorry, Nick.
Coach said that. Coach said that.
Nick. Yeah. I'm going to be out,
the Hawks
Coach. I
every
think
night,
I'm going to
have a good night, Randy.
guys.
Thanks so much.
I've got my wife to take care of.
And I'll go walk my dogs.
Thank you, Randy.
Coach. Thank you for the invite.
Not a problem.
Thanks,
Talk to you.
Good
Go
night.
get
Good night,
watching
Randy.
the Flame right now. 1-1. It's still
Good night.
missing
I'll stick
8
around
goals
and
for
do
you,
it.
Edmonton,
I'll stick around.
tonight.
Good night.
How about that?
Good night.
Marco, do you stay around or not?
I'll stick around. All
right. And our tap, stay around or not?
If you have other people, I'll let them on.
Right now we don't have any people, honestly, in the chat. I'm going to get a call from. We're going to get a call from Luc Lafortune for the third time. Maybe it's Charmaine tonight. Luc Lafortune and RJ.
I've never been on air.
Both of them
been on air with Luc, so I think I'll stick around for that for sure.
And
I always wanted to be on air with Luc.
Too bad Vinny had said wait till 11 because I want to come on.
yeah, but
Where is
now
he?
it's 11:30 for him, so we'll be pushed back. So Luc Lafortune, if you want to join us live, you're welcome to come back, and then I'm going to get that copy here. Go back here. No fear. Stu, by the way, is in the house, my ladies and gentlemen. Stu is in the house. Welcome back. How about that one over there? And we're going to be wait a little bit. You're going to have a good success tonight, you guys, because it's easy question tonight about that one over there. We're going to wait for a look, and we're going to starting this, and then you have RJ. If you want to knock the door, you're welcome. Or anybody else want to knock the door, I don't have to. You can join Nick if you want
Maybe
to.
the link.
The link is on the chat. So,
is
wish I could, but driving, Stu, is all right, Stu. That'd be not a problem. William Snyder. William Snyder is a 4. Yeah, William, you can wait for Nick and RJ and Luc Lafortune. Luc Lafortune, you can call right now. I'll give you about 2 more minutes, guys, before we move on. If not, it's okay. Yeah. No big deal. And Edmonton just score, guys. McDavid score and take the lead 2-1.
Who?
And the Canucks score, guy, take the lead 3-1. But we're still going to be behind Mr. Natap, unfortunately. They want to join. I don't have to. Chicago.
As we're
Luc
waiting,
Lafortune, in the chat, can you say yes or no if you join or not? Luc Lafortune, if you can confirm. Oh, Nick joined the party. Nick will be with us. Luc Lafortune, one more call for Luc Lafortune. Nick, welcome aboard.
Nick's
Nick.
upset.
Nick, I was
Nick, we
with
didn't
you
mean
all
those
night.
things about the Hawks. We didn't mean those things about
I'm
the
just
Hawks.
tired.
Okay.
I'm
I
just
said nice
tired.
things
That's
about
to
the
all.
get
Hawks
the
all night.
Marco number question. And I think we got him, Mr. Nartap. I think we got him. He's going to knock the door. Here we go. He's back with us. We are full house tonight, ladies
Hey,
and gentlemen.
Lou.
Hey.
And Nick,
Salute,
97
Lou.
over there, that one there. All right. Because he tried for the third time, we're going to give him the first choice of the night to pick up Mr. Luc Lafortune, the NHL record, AB record, league record of the WHA, Mr. Luc Lafortune.
NHL record.
1, 2, or 3?
2.
2,
Number 3.
Yeah.
3.
3. You put all the money yet at the beginning like that? It will be
No
interesting.
problem.
We'll be interested if we get it or not. Mr. Luc Lafortune,
gambler.
NHL 1, 2, and 3. Here we go. How many teams in the NHL history have 3,000 wins so far in NHL?
Okay. How many teams?
Yeah.
Wow.
How many teams?
3,000 wins.
Yeah.
Pas de choix de réponse.
No.
On va dire 1, 2. On va dire 5.
5. All right. Is it your final answer?
Ben oui.
Okay. Danny said 6. Danny, welcome aboard, by the way. Here we go.
Hey,
We're going
Danny.
to go to knock the door for Nick. Nick, how many you think he has? 3,000.
14.
14. Here we go. For the fun, Marco and Artap, what do you think? How many teams have 3,000?
For the fun.
4.
I'm gonna say 1. I'm gonna say 1.
Here we go. The
Mm.
answer, guy, is 4. On the answer, that one there. Look, it was very close. Nobody have a point about that one there. And the chat, we said 7, 6, and 6. Great, everybody participate on that one. We're going to go and Marco. Marco, we have the next choice for which one you want to get.
I'll go with let's go with Leafs record 1.
Leaf record 1. Wow. There we go.
Yeah, I had to go
Playing
there.
it safe.
It's going to be easy for you on that one over there. Abs, leave question number 1. Here we go. We got it. Which player has the most point in one season in the history of the Toronto Maple Leafs?
As I've said, that's not super easy. I'm gonna say Doug Gilmour.
Hey, got it, my friend. Congratulations.
All right.
Doug
shot.
Gilmour, ladies and gentlemen, he scored the first point of the night. Here we go. We go with
Get
Nick.
the buzzer going.
Nick.
NHL record 1.
There we go. Nick, he said, I want to tie the game. Will be interesting about that one over there. NHL record, I have to go all the way down at the bottom. Here we go. Most game played in the NHL history, Mr. Nick. Which player played the most game in the NHL history?
Ovechkin.
Ovechkin. All right, let's go get to just for fun. Oh, no, we're going to get the champ for Luc Lafortune. Luc Lafortune.
Gordier.
Gordier. Just for fun, in our time.
Yeah, I was gonna.
I think I know this
probably
one.
gonna go with Howe.
I think I know this one.
Oh, Marco
can I
took
guess?
his head.
Which
No,
one in our time?
Patrick Marleau.
Patrick Marleau. Yeah, it was the answer that one over there. So no point for anybody about that one over there. But congratulations. We go now with Mr. Nartap.
How can we not go with Habs records? Let's go with that for 3.
Record for 3. Here we go. Whoa. Maybe we take the lead on that one over there. Ab 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here we go. Mr. Nartap, who has the most power play goal for the Montreal Canadiens in the NHL history of the Montreal?
Power play goals.
Yep.
I gotta think this. I'm gonna go with Lafleur.
Guy Lafleur. All right. We're going to give all the chance tonight at Luc Lafortune. Luc Lafortune.
Steve Shutt.
Steve Shutt. Here we go. Let's go with Marco.
What would be your second?
So that was going to be my guess too, Steve Shutt. Yeah, that was going to be my guess. Yeah, I'll go with Luc on that one.
Which one?
Steve Shutt.
Steve Shutt. Nick, any chance?
I think I'm gonna know.
Patrick
Can I give my
no.
second choice? Can I give my second choice?
Danny said Maurice Richard, Rocket. Rudolph said Rocket. And that's the reason it was 3 point, guys. Because I know you let
Jean
people
Beliveau.
thinking that way. The answer, guy, is Jean Beliveau.
I should have known that.
Jean Beliveau has the most power play goal on that one there. So we have to restart with Luc Lafortune.
Tabarouette. Habs record 1.
NHL record 2.
No. Habs record 1.
Canadien.
Oh, the Canadiens, number 1. Here we go. It would be easy for you. I'm sure. Yeah, no reason to miss that one, Luc, about that one there, I'm sure. Here we go. One
pressure,
one there. Who has the most ab record with the most goal in the NHL history?
Who has the
most goals? Qui a compté le plus de buts dans l'histoire des Canadiens de Montréal?
C'est 144. C'est Tiggy.
C'est qui?
Tiggy.
Guy Lafleur. There we go. Guy Lafleur for how many goals you said?
544.
544?
No.
That sounds about right.
Oui.
Elena
Marco, c'est quoi ta
Paghi.
Marco, your answer.
544.
Most goals for sure Lafleur, but I'm not sure how many it was. I thought 544 sounds in the ballpark.
And Artap?
Maurice Richard had 544.
Maurice Richard is the winner of that one there. Look, we're going to give you 0.5 because you got the number 544. So pretty good about that one over there. Just the wrong guy. Let's go with, I think the number 3 was Nick, I believe, right? Oh, no, it was Marco, I believe. Let's go with Marco.
I'll go with NHL record 2.
NHL record 2 for Marco. Here we go. A lot of people talk about Lafleur in the chat, by the way. NHL 2, 1 and 2. Here we go. Which team has the most shootout in one series in NHL history? Which team has the most shootout in one series in NHL history? So how many times they did it? We know the most shootout you can get in NHL is 4 games, honestly, right? Because you won 4 times. But how many teams, which team did it?
Oh, shutout.
If in NHL in NHL history.
Shutouts.
Shutout.
So how many shutouts in a row? Like in a row?
I'm sorry?
Do you mean how many shutouts they had in a row or during the playoffs in the series?
And the playoff series. So in one series, max you can get shootout is 4, right? Because you 4 win, you take 4 W to get a series. But which team has the most shootout and the history with the by series?
Shutout.
Oh, which team?
In
Wow.
one season, or their entire history?
And entire history.
In their entire history.
Wow.
Shit.
Detroit.
So, Marco, I'll give you an example. Montreal Canadiens beat Winnipeg Jet, example, in 4 games. 3 of the 4 games, it was a shootout. That gave them 1 time. And so that's what I'm looking for. Which team has the most time, how many times they did it to win those kind of series and most shootout?
Okay, so a series clinching game where they did a shutout? Is that what you mean?
Not a cliche game. Is they did the record on this league, guy, is 3. Never any team in the nation never have 4 W with 4. So how many times? Which team has the most 3 shootout and initially and 1 series?
In 1 series, I think I know what you mean. I think I'm going to say Los Angeles Kings.
The Kings. Here we go. In our top.
It's got to be between, I think, either New Jersey or the Leafs. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna go with the Leafs.
Toronto Maple Leaf, guys, is the winner of that one over there. Good job about this, Mr. Nartap. We don't give you point, but we just ask you the
Why
question.
not?
Nick.
That was a hard one.
Oh God. I'm not gonna know this, but let's go with Leafs record.
2 point.
Yeah.
All right.
Go
2
big.
point.
Go big, Nick.
Toronto Maple Leaf. We're going to give leave 1 here. 2 here. Here we go. Who has the most assists? I'm sorry about assists and the NHL and the Leaf history. Who has the most assists in NHL history?
Ass hits is a different category, right? That would be Rob Blake.
Which one, Nick?
Oh my gosh.
Oh gosh.
Oh, yes, on me.
Who
I only know my generation.
Boreas on me.
The answer is Buzz Simon, ladies and gentlemen. Nick nailed it about that one over there. Wow, what a good job about that one over there. 2 points for Nick. Here we go. We're going to finalize the last question for each one of you. Mr. Luc, no, we have in our tap. I apologize, in our tap twice.
Oh, let's go with the Habs record for 2.
Here we go. Now you want to score for sure. We'll see if you can get it on that one over there. 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2. Here we go. Mr. Nartap, which player played the most game for the Montreal Canadiens?
Whoa.
Most games. I gotta go with.
C'est pas Doug Jarvis.
I'm gonna go with Larry Robinson.
Hey, Luc,
Larry Robinson. Luc, t'as le droit de réplique, mon Luc.
Ah. J'y vas-tu?
No,
C'est qui, mon Luc?
Can I change? Can I change for half?
What did you say in our tap?
C'est
No,
qui?
I don't want him anymore. I'm pretty sure it's got to be.
Luc,
I'm gonna go
c'est
with.
quoi ta réponse?
Doug Jarvis.
Doug Jarvis.
Can I
Mr.
change coach?
Marco, who has the most played game for the Montreal Canadiens?
Huh. That's a really tough one. I'm going to say, did Intertap say Robinson?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wrong.
Okay.
It's wrong. Trust me.
It's wrong. Eh? So I'm going to, let's go with,
Henri.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad choice, actually. I'm going to go Bob Gainey.
Bob Gainey. Nick.
No.
Lafleur?
Lafleur. We have one good answer in the chat, by the way. It was Rudolph. Henri Richard has the most
How could I
game
forget?
and for the Montreal Canadiens.
Dang.
Luc, la dernière fois, mon homme, tu as le choix.
La dernière fois.
Ben non, ben,
WHA. WHA, il va y avoir une number one. Il y a une question de Doug Wickenheiser là-dedans.
At the beginning, I thought it was going to be easy, but maybe it could be wrong if you don't follow the WHA. But here we go. What was the name of the trophy award to the playoff champion?
I think I remember
that. Comment est-ce qu'il s'appelait, lui?
Oh, man, this is going back, man.
Wait.
I think I remember. This is before my time, but I think I know what it is.
I think I know it too.
It sounds like a multi-level marketing
strategy.
The Clancy Award.
All right. Marco.
Avco Cup.
Here we go. There was the answer. That one, Avco World Trophy was the name of that one. So over there, we're going to give 0.5 to Marco about that one over there. So let's move on for the next question. We'll go with Marco.
Stupid.
All right, let's go with Leafs record number 3. See if I can.
Marco got all the money on the leave on that one over there. Leave record. Leave. We have 1, 2, and 2. This is your second question, by the way, from the leave. Which player has the most power play goal in their history?
In their history. Okay, so you got like a Steve Vive. I'm just throwing names there. It's not my final answer yet. It's Steve Vive, Matt Sundin, McGillney wouldn't be up there. I don't think Gilmore was there long enough. I don't think it's like Sittler. I'm gonna go with Sundin.
Sundin. You did it again. Wow. 4.5 for Mr. Marco. He take the lead on that one over there. Let's move on now for
not just a Habs homer.
And up top.
Yes, sir. As if I have much choice. WHA.
No.
Go for 3. Why not?
Go for 3. Put everything. Why not? Anyway, I'm going to be in the playoff for the Frenchy quiz anyways. Now, who knows what happening about this? 3 point. We have to go all the way up on that one over there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Bobby Hall.
It's not easy.
Bobby Hall.
It's easy one. Who was the first coach of the Quebec Nordic?
Come on.
Là, c'est facile.
Danny should know this one.
And after
of the Nordiques?
Yeah.
The Nordiques?
Yep.
It's got to be...
Facile.
Oh, geez.
Facile.
I'm going to go
Come on,
Bergeron. I don't know.
Michel Bergeron. Luc Lafortune.
Maurice.
Oh, Luc Lafortune did it, ladies and gentlemen. He did it, the first one. Maurice Richard.
Oh, wow.
Luc Lafortune get 2 points on that one over there. We'll get generous about that one over there. So Luc Lafortune, congratulations about that one over there. We have Jeff the Leaf fans, a new subscriber. Thanks so much, Jeff the fans. We appreciate a lot. One more time, the last one for Nick. WHA for 2 points, Mr. Nick. No choice on that one over there. And we're going to see if you know that. I know it's a bit, maybe not your time, but you can maybe make something good about that one
Let's go,
over
Nick.
there.
You can do it.
And what was the team name of the Wayne Gretzky when he played in the WHA? Which was the name of the team?
Oh, God. Oh, no. Yeah, I don't know. Not even my time.
All right. Let's go with Luc.
Yeah. Ah, tabarouette. Je vais dire... il jouait dans l'Ouest, lui, je pense.
Ben, dans l'Ouest du Québec ou dans l'Ouest du Canada?
Du Canada, là. Brantford.
All right. Let's go with Marco.
Brantford.
No, I think it was. I'm gonna get the name wrong, but I think it's like it sounds like a basketball team, but Indiana Pacers or Racers or something like that.
Oh, okay, wow. Les Racers d'Indianapolis.
Indianapolis Ice was the name of the team. Congratulations, Marco, on that one over there. And that on that one there. We have a question for each one of you, maybe from the panel. It's come from Rudolph said, what are the name of the coach? Name 5 WHA team.
Oh boy.
Christ.
Can we do it together? Can we do it together? So there's the Jets.
Okay, I'll take Indianapolis.
Quebec, Hartford.
Indianapolis.
So
there's Quebec Nordiques.
The Houston wasn't there the Houston Arrows? Houston Arrows.
Hartford, yeah.
Houston Arrows.
Minnesota. Minnesota.
The Cleveland Crusaders.
The Calgary.
No, Cleveland.
Minnesota.
You have Calgary Cowboys.
C'est qui joue avec des bandes transparentes?
Avec quoi?
Cowboys?
Avec des bandes transparentes, c'est Minnesota, ça?
Je pense que oui. Il y avait Philadelphia avait un team à some point.
Oui.
The
Birmingham Bulls, no?
No, Cincinnati Stingers. Cincinnati Stingers.
The Cincinnati Stingers on the one over there.
Yeah.
The 5 team we talk about the older Jet, Nordic, Razor, and Whalers for that one over there. Hartford, Quebec, Winnipeg, Victoria, and Houston for Zev Le Cave. And we got the Zev Le Cave Cincinnati about that one there.
Oh, wow.
So we have Marco Larrabee have a point tonight. Luc Lafortune a point, and Nick a point. And after that, you have a so we give you a point, of course. So you're going to join us for the elimination. Of course, we're going to have a big night, the 30.
I got 3 points, though, Coach.
Oh, yeah.
I got 3 points.
You got 4.5, Mr. Marco. You dominate.
Okay. Tu m'as donné 3 points free, là.
Je t'ai donné à 2.5, 2 points, tu as une bonne réponse avec Maurice Richard, puis 0.5 pour un autre, 544.
Okay, 2.5.
About the Coyotes guy beat the Calgary, the Colorado 6-3 tonight.
Oh, come on.
Wow. And you have, if you want to stay with me, 21 seconds to go. Remaining empty net, Calgary versus Edmonton. Edmonton 2, Calgary 1. Usually they score 13 goals per game, and now they have only 3 goals.
I know, eh? I think
the Canucks beating the San Jose guy. The Edmonton win tonight 2-1 against Calgary is confirmed.
Did Winnipeg lose?
That's not good for my fantasy.
The Winnipeg lost by the score of 5-1, 4-1. Winnipeg.
4-1. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So to have a better night, the Golden Knight need to win tonight, Mr. Nata.
Coach, I got a question for Mark.
Voici mon lip.
Edmonton, Vegas.
Marco.
Wait.
Who do you think Montreal's going to trade first? If any.
I think probably Edmondson is going to go first.
Okay.
I think he's the most valuable. He's the most valuable piece that they have, and probably the piece that most teams need. So the likelihood is, but he might be hard to trade. So that would be my
Where?
guess.
Monahan.
I think Edmonton's
Where?
a good fit. Edmonton, I think, would be a really good fit for him. Toronto would be a
I
very good
agree.
fit for him. Where?
Edmonton, I agree. Why is it
Yeah,
so?
yeah. I think
Edmonton.
Toronto would be a good fit too. Yeah, yeah.
No,
But
I
he's
don't think they
wherever
have
he goes,
room.
he's going to be.
Edmondson don't
Edmonton
go
would
nowhere.
have to. You don't think?
No, 1 more year. He still have 1 more year contract. I think he's not going nowhere. I think Monahan is going to surprise everybody. I think Monahan is going to go with Carolina Hurricane.
He might. He might.
I don't think.
I still think he's
We'll see.
our biggest blue chipper.
Monahan?
Okay, who's got the most value?
I think so.
Monahan?
I
Yeah,
think Edmondson has more
Probably.
value.
Probably.
I don't think so. Because again, Edmondson's second year is not a liability in that kind of deal, just
I
because
think
the
so.
number is very, very palatable.
I
that's
Yeah,
the
but
reason I
Monahan's-
believe Montreal going to keep him 1 more year to stay with the core of the team, and next year he become a UFA.
Yeah.
That's why he's going to get a little bit more high value on this one over there. On my eye, that's the reason. Now, you could be right, Marco, Luc, and everybody else, if they get something big in return, like Josh Anderson or Christian Dvorak. If one of the 4 I'm talking, they get something huge in return, they let it go. But otherwise, I don't see Anderson and Monahan, Edmondson leave the building. Not this
Well, I
year.
mean, Monahan, you're not sure to keep him.
I don't think so. That
They
I think
shouldn't.
for them,
They
the
shouldn't.
plan
No,
it's
I mean, if
it's
you
Kirby
trade him
Doc.
anywhere, if you trade him for a first pick, let's say, to anybody,
Well, yeah, of course.
not
No,
sure
like,
he's going to
Yeah,
resign.
take
The
it.
problem
Take it
the
and
problem
run.
with Monahan though is that, yeah, of course Montreal would take that running for sure, but I have my doubts that I'm a little concerned that with his health, because again, guys, he has a broken foot, right? So that's not an injury that's going to heal completely this year, like for the season. And it's very well publicized that he has a broken foot. He's been walking around. That's the thing with Montreal media, right? Like, you can't hide anything. There's like a million pictures of him walking around
No,
with a boot. So it's not good news, right? Like, so the good news with an injury like that is that it's really just about playing with pain. But when you add that on top of the other kind of history that he has with injuries, I'm not saying that they won't be able to trade him, but I'm not sure that he's going to fetch what
you're
we
not
thought
going to
he
get a
was going to
first
fetch.
pick. You're not going to get a first pick
I
for
don't
him.
think so. I don't think so either. I hope so. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't think so.
The key
There's
about this,
always
I'll be honest with you guys, is all depends the Ren O'Reilly about all that. Because if they are not in the market, he become one of the most attractive players as a center in NHL with Jonathan
For
Taze.
sure.
But if he's behind
Ryan
those
Broly-
two
oh, yeah.
players I mentioned to you, that would be a little bit harder. Ovechkin is 25th goal tonight. So if you're Vancouver right now, you have to trade Ovechkin.
Yeah, no
What?
choice.
Mais pas Montréal.
Yeah, you do. You do, but they want quite a bit.
Yeah, Mr. Cake,
good reason,
welcome
right?
aboard, Mr. Cake. If they play tomorrow night at 7 o'clock again, Tampa Bay. So thank you, Rodolphe, to answer back to him about that one. Guys, 2 hours, 38 minutes. We appreciate all of you. Thank you so much, Mr. Luc. And then Nick, Marco, of course, a panelist in our tap. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 o'clock p.m. for the warm-up show. So thanks so much, everybody. Luc, finally, you got a good answer. So congratulations. Now you'll be a part of the playoff. It's coming during the week, the 30. We'll be back another show like this. It's December 30. This will be the last one of the calendar because the 28th, 29th, and the 31st, we do the Montreal Canadiens. So that's what's happening here at the Hockey Initial Show.
Yes,
Anything you
sir.
want to add before you leave, Mr. Luc, Nick, and Artap, and Marco?
20,
I would just like-
22.
23 soon. 23.
Here we
Ouais, mais
go.
on n'est pas là. We're not there yet.
Exactly about
No,
that.
no.
Marco, Nick, anything you want to add before you go?
I would like to add one thing. How did they
Nope.
not get the Hawks questions?
The Hawks is going to maybe at the next quiz. Maybe the Hawks Maybe you could be better for the
Yeah.
elimination. I keep the Hawks for you when you're going to be on the elimination playoff.
Oh, that's nice. And I was laughing at Danny. What was the last player that wore number 10? I was losing my mind the whole time.
Sharp.
Patrick Sharp. Patrick Sharp.
Sharp.
Yeah.
Sharp.
Yeah.
I could have said all the players that are the numbers that were retired. I could have said them all, but I'm not gonna do it because I'm too tired.
Have a good night, Nick. Thanks so much, my friend. Talk to you later.
You know,
Good night. Luc, anything?
Moi, je pense que Montreal won't make any trade until maybe March.
Yeah.
February.
Trade deadline time.
February.
Yeah.
February,
Trade,
whatever,
trade.
27th or something like that.
The March 3rd, 2nd or the 3rd is the deadline, but I think they will be early in February. I think Ken Hughes and they act that way last season. They don't wait. They trade Tyler Toffoli in the middle of the, like 5 weeks before the trade deadline. I wouldn't be surprised they go there at the end of January, at the beginning of February. They trade
I think Montreal's going to sit until they get the right price. And if they don't, goodbye, Jack. You're not getting
guys, they bring Justin Barron.
Jack Eichel?
They bring Anthony Richard.
No.
What they try right now, they bring more players for what?
Because
starting to go down.
We want to finish at the bottom, right? The lower, the better.
Or close to it. Close to it, yeah.
I hope we can 5. I would be interesting. By the way, Marco, do you believe Arizona pick Michkov or they skip Michkov?
No Russian for me.
Arizona? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they take Michkov because, yeah.
They're not close to contending yet, and they can wait.
Like if they're like based on the fact that they chose Cooley, they're waiting. Like they don't mind waiting a couple years.
So you believe they're going to get the Michkov is going to be out at the top 4?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
Top 10 maybe.
Unless, of course, Arizona wins the lottery, at which point they'll take Bedard, and then Michkov will drop, because I don't see any other team that's willing to wait.
I would prefer that, to be honest. If it's not going to be Montreal, I would prefer it be like Vancouver, or I don't want, like, here it's a shorter list. I just don't want Bedard to go to Anaheim because I feel that they already have a lot of good young talent. It would just be like too stacked of a team moving forward. And like I said before, sorry, Nick is not here to hear this, but I don't hope that Chicago wins it, because I think it was kind of like unfair that the way that they dismantled their team, like it's too much of an obvious thing. So
no.
As long as it's not Chicago and Anaheim, I'm good.
No.
But best trade so far is going to.
I want Bedard in Chicago.
They don't deserve it, dude. Look, they don't deserve it. Like, look at it.
Why?
They've been such a bad organization. Like
Montreal did the same thing.
They've had such a bad track record. Like they've had such a bad track record. Like look at all like how they ran their organization. I just don't think that they deserve a player like Bedard right now. Like I think they just need to, kind of like eat their lumps for a couple years here after really being a pretty terrible organization.
Yeah,
everything that happened, all the controversy that happened in that organization, I don't believe that they deserve.
And nothing really became of it. And they made it totally obvious that they were tanking.
And Montreal did
about it. Not like that.
And Montreal did.
Not really. No, it wasn't until the last game of the season that Arizona won the last game of the season. Luke, they won the last game of the season and finished ahead of Montreal.
10-2.
Otherwise,
10-2.
they didn't. Yeah, but Arizona beat I think Dallas in the last game of the season.
Montreal beat Florida in the last game 10-2.
Yeah, 10-2.
Arizona.
Yeah.
10-2.
Yeah.
Last game of
surprised. Anaheim's going to win the lottery.
I think so too. I don't want them to, but I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah.
I hope not.
I hope he ends up in Chicago. That's my point. That's all.
Why?
Vancouver would be a fun story.
Vancouver
would be fun.
Oh,
Because I
you don't like
Chicago.
Montreal?
There's a real street. There's original 6. That's it.
So wouldn't you rather see him go to Montreal?
Man, no, ça arrivera pas. It won't happen. Montreal is going to finish about 27, maybe 28 if we're lucky. But
We're gonna
no,
draft
he's
Brandon Yeager.
not gonna-
Watch.
We're getting Brandon Yeager. That's who we're getting. We're gonna get Yeager.
You know what? That's a good
Maybe.
pick. That's a good pick.
Highway.
I like that.
Center?
I have a hunch.
He's
Yeah, he's a center.
Yeah,
He's a
he's a
center?
center. He's a center.
I
And
think
he's
they
a-
will
yes.
go.
it-
I will announce it to you right now. I think they will take Will Smith.
That's a good
I
player
know.
too.
That's a
The only
slap in
problem
the
with
face.
Will,
Didn't he-
the only
didn't he
problem with
slap
Will
out Chris
Smith, he
Rock?
need to compete more. That's the only thing. But if you want to compare
that's
him, it's a Logan Coley 2.0.
A slap
That's
in the
worse than
face.
that's worse than Patrick Waugh going up and talking to Ronald Curry if he goes up to Jeff Gordon and slaps him in the face. Will Smith, I don't know.
Hey, by the way, you're talking about Patrick Roy. Was he the worst trade in Montreal's history?
Yeah,
Well, he put him in that
I would say.
predicament though. Between him and Trombley.
Yeah, but apparently there was a report just recently though that he was apparently willing to put everything behind him and to kind of like move forward. That was
That
just
way.
reported in the last month. And then Jean said no, like we're trading you, even though he came back and said, listen, I'm willing to turn the page and keep going. And either it was
Hey.
Ronald Corey or it was Régent Hood that said no, we're going to trade you anyways.
Yeah.
Hey,
Interesting.
but-
Worst
The
mistake
worst-
they ever made.
That was the
Yeah, it set him
fastest
back.
trade ever. 3 days. 3 days it
Yeah.
took to
Wow.
trade
Yeah.
him. 3 freaking days. Patrick Roy,
Yeah,
3
Colorado
days.
jumped all over it.
Come on. Tu sais, on a pogné Kovalenko, Rosinski, puis l'autre petit put, là, Thibault.
Jocelyn Thibault. Yeah.
They get a goaltender.
I felt so bad. I felt
Ouais,
so bad
Thibault.
for Jocelyn Thibault, man.
Ben oui.
Thibault.
I felt so bad for that guy.
Oui.
He's a good guy. All right, guys, I got to jump.
All right.
All right.
Have a
Very
good
good.
night, Marco. Look, have a good night.
everyone.
Reminiscing.
everyone.
That's all.
All right.
All right,
So
guys.
good look. And Artap, good night.
Thank you.
Marco, good night.
Thank you, Marco.
Salut, mon Luc. On s'entend bien. Everybody left the building, guys. That's conclude, guys. We have tonight at the Hockey Nation Live Show. What a night. What a great night to review the NHL year 2022. And the Vegas Golden Knights take the lead 2-1. A goal of McNabb from the blue line. 2-1 over the Los Angeles Kings. And that's what we got tonight, guys. Hopefully you enjoy it. Hopefully you have an amazing, great night with the Hockey Nation Live Show, the HNL Tonight Show. It was the Riverway. We want to be back tomorrow for the Montreal Canadiens. And don't forget my app, Daily News, tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Thanks, everybody, to be part of the show tonight. We have a lot of people back and forth. And hopefully you appreciate what the people in the chat. Randy Walkman, by the way, thanks so much. And all the people participate to the quiz at the Hockey Nation Live Show. Rudolph with the RJ, Zev Lecav, Aspire Cake. Then we have William Snyder, William McClary. So many people show up tonight. Thanks so much for you guys. But before we leave, I want to remind everybody, of course, one more time. You are awesome. You are amazing. You are the best. And remember, you have greatness inside of you. Thanks so much, everybody. Thanks a lot to be a part of the show tonight. Until the next time, of course, be well, be healthy. Find a way not only dominate your day, find a way to dominate the second half of what? 2022. Have an amazing, great night, everybody. Thanks all the moderators of the Hockey Nation Live Show pop up tonight from Danny to Luciano to Run with Kings and possibly Jose. I cannot remember. But I know you guys, you always show up. Good night, everybody. Real deal. KLS, Danny T, Luc Laverson, Mr. Cake, William Snyder. Thank you, Danny. Oh, 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 oh. Booyah!